call the legislative session, Spokane City Council, for Monday, November 20th to order. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Pfister, you want to call roll?
Council President Kinnear.
Present.
Councilmember Bingle.
Here.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Present.
Councilmember Ulrich.
Present.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
Councilmember Zappone.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Councilmember Wilkerson is
Present.
Councilmember Wilkerson is absent.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a new system in the council chambers. We have a few glitches, so bear with us. Not everything works perfectly yet. And maybe by December 11th, everything will be perfect working order. So first off, we have a proclamation, Small Business Saturday, read by Councilmember Ulrich and received by Joel Nania. Joel, are you here? Welcome. Come on up. You want to go ahead?
Whereas Spokane, Washington celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are 33 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995. And small businesses employ 46.4% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. Whereas 72% of consumers reported that Small Business Saturday 2022 made them want to shop and dine at small, independently owned retailers and restaurants all year long. Spokane, Washington supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. Advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, Nadine Woodward, Mayor of the City of Spokane, on behalf of the citizens of Spokane, does hereby proclaim November 25th, 2023, as Small Business Saturday in Spokane and urges the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and to shop small throughout the year.
Thank you very much. I want to say a few words on behalf of I'm Joel Nania. I'm the manager of the U.S. Small Business Administration office here in Spokane, serving the Inland Northwest. And on behalf of the Small Business Administration, I want to thank the Mayor Woodward, the City of Spokane staff, and the members of the City Council for supporting small businesses in and around Spokane. And I'm looking forward to working with Lisa Brown and the new administration in the future. I started my first business about just a few blocks from here over 40 years ago. And this is still a great place, and it's an even better place now to start a small business. And I want to thank everybody for their joint efforts. And I report that Spokane is a great place to start a small business. We have a full complement of resources extending beyond our SBA resource partners, which include SCORE, the Small Business Development Centers of Washington, Women's Business Centers, SNAP microlenders, and our Veterans Business Outreach Center. And we still have work to do in the development of the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and with your help, we can make this a market that offers a fair and impartial opportunity to anyone who's serious about starting a small business. Most recently, I applaud the city for giving a new home and a new life to Spokane Startup Spokane, another demonstration of the city's commitment to entrepreneurs. And now time for a quick survey. Are there any small business owners here tonight? Are there any small business owners here tonight? You stand up if you own a small business. A few. Hey. Stay standing. Okay, are there any people here who work for a small business owner? Would you also stand up? Excellent. Okay, now, is there anybody here that shops at small businesses? Everybody. Give yourselves applause. So as you can see, small businesses are the lifeblood of our community. They touch everybody in every life, all of our lives, and every day. And for that reason, I would ask everybody, as you said in the proclamation, to make sure and during this holiday season, please shop small. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So next, we're going to move on to our open forum. And just a reminder that it's the duty of each council member to treat each other, city staff, board, commission appointees, and the public with respect. Likewise, all people who attend a council meeting or interact with us or council staff in any type of forum or communication must act respectfully toward all persons. So I'm asking you to all be respectful towards each other and act with civility. So we're going to start with 2 minutes for open forum, 3 minutes for legislative items. So Ivan Polonsky is our first speaker.
My name is Yvonne Polanski, and I'd like to discuss the only talking point that seems to be flying out of the mouths of all pro-genocide, anti-ceasefire politicians, like our own Councilman Jonathan Bingle, and that talking point is that Israel has a right to defend itself. I have a few questions based on that. Is Israel defending itself from the 5,000 innocent children and babies that have been killed and thousands more that are still in the rubble? What about the dozens of premature infants that have died in the ICU last week from the lack of power to the hospital? Are they defending themselves from them? Are they defending themselves from the thousands of women that are having to give birth without pain meds or that are having to get C-sections without anesthesia? Are they defending themselves from water and flour that are on the trucks that are bringing in aid? Are they defending themselves from the 2.2 million people that have no access to water, fuel, food, electricity, or medicine? The civilian casualty rate now is at 99.5%, and that is classified as self-defense. The very idea of Israel having a right to defend itself is not valid, and I'm going to explain based on facts pertaining to the legality. The basis of Israel having the right to defend itself under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter in relation to the attacks on October 7th is an absolute false claim. I'll direct you all to the paragraph 139 of the International Court of Justice's advisory opinion dated July 9th, 2004, on the legality of Gaza, of the Gaza Wall and the occupation of Gaza. In that paragraph, the court makes it very clear that Israel does not possess the right to self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter in relation to attacks that operate within an occupied territory that it controls. And since Gaza is very clearly an occupied territory, with Israel clearly being in effective control over it, they absolutely cannot claim a right to self-defense as a result. So no, Israel does not have the right to claim self-defense against a population that is being occupied by them. And 65% of all Americans do not support the colonization and the genocide of Palestine, and we're asking for a ceasefire and will continue to do so. You guys have to listen to the people that you're supposed to represent instead of the people that are stuffing your pockets with money.
Thank you.
Free
Your
Palestine.
time is up. Thank you. Next up is, no, we're not clapping. We're not clapping. Next up is Robert Richard, then Brianna Franzen, and then Tim Malik.
My name is Robert Richard. Thank you for a few minutes. I thought I'd read an article in the Spokesman Review that a friend wrote recently, Complicit in the Continuing Slaughter Nothing on this earth can justify or forgive the killing of thousands of children in this Israeli-Hamas war. But when we support and when we do nothing to immediately end it, we become complicit in this continuing slaughter. That was Mr. Tom Charles. And I thought if I had a few more minutes, I could quote Franklin D. Roosevelt from 1941, "The liberty of a democracy is not safe if the people tolerate the growth of private power to a point where it becomes stronger than the democratic state itself. That, in its essence, is fascism. Ownership of government by an individual, by a group, or any controlling private power." And that's about my summation of what's going on over there. I was in the service. I'm a retired E5. I been to Israel about 6 times besides on shore patrol there on the USS Nimitz, the USS Eisenhower, and the USS America. It's only gotten more right-wing. I've seen it since the 70s, and I was aboard the Nimitz when we gave a live ordnance air show for Menachem Begin. We were the first ship that port called there after Israel bombed the USS Liberty in 1967. Thank you.
Thank you. No. Okay. That is your second warning. If we do it again, we will recess. And I will have security come out and talk to you. I'm not going to tolerate it. I am not going to tolerate it. All right.
Council President,
Yes,
can I make intend to address the matter in the future comment?
certainly.
That is in our rules. I just want to let people know that we've been hearing your comments about this, and Councilmember Wilkerson and I plan to address this matter in the future.
Thank you. All right. Brianna, Tim Malik, and then Sam Lee.
Hello, council members. Once again, I am before you after 2 more dogs were tragically killed at Scraps last Tuesday. Their names were Ben Ben and Notorious DOG. As these dogs were impounded from the jurisdiction of the city of Spokane, they were required per contract to be deemed by an animal behavior specialist to be an untreatable threat to other animals or people, as well as not be euthanized for lack of space. Scraps claims the dogs had concerning behavior, including kennel fighting, severe bite reaction, and quick turning when touched. Yet, unsurprisingly, we have several videos as well as photos, several videos available on a Scraps Volunteers YouTube channel that feature both of these dogs receiving treats and acting completely opposite. From the earliest videos to the months leading up to the dog's status is changing to a weighted behavior assessment, there is no evidence of kennel fighting nor any indication that they require muzzles or aggression in any form. In fact, both dogs are seen calmly resting at the back of their kennel. When they do go to get up to accept treats, they do so in a calm and gentle manner. The wide difference in claims by Scraps experts and the video and photographic proof of the dogs has been a pattern we have previously pointed out. Furthermore, we acknowledge that both dogs were taken out of public, accessible pods without justification or incident. The amount of time they were allowed out of their kennels was limited to only a few volunteers permitted to take them to the play yard, and that was eventually completely revoked, resulting in confinement and isolation. We know they can be further intensified by the transfer of dogs to a more isolated area, restricting socialization, enrichment, and interactions. The Association of Shelter Veterinarians Guideline, which Scraps claims to be contractually obligated to and adhering to, state that over the past 2 decades, studies have shown that behavior evaluation tests failed to reliably predict future behavior, particularly aggression in a new home. Performing one stressful test after another subtest can negatively impact test results and the animal's emotional well-being. You'll hear from my colleague Tim next.
Thank you. Then Tim, Sam Lee, and Scott Ward.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. To continue where Brianna left off, the ASV guidelines further state how to manage behaviors in a shelter, and there is no indication in those statements that a dog should be placed into isolation, deprived of sufficient time outside the kennel or enrichment, nor should they be forced to endure prolonged periods in such conditions before undergoing a behavior assessment. On the contrary, the ASV guidelines recommend practices that are completely opposite to the tactics employed by SCRAPS. Given that behavioral assessments are not in line with current animal behavior science and are shown to be as reliable as the flip of a coin, it is reasonable to conclude that SCRAP's approach subjected the dogs to higher levels of stress and likely contributed to their emotional deterioration or the emergence of new behavior problems. Ultimately, this approach was later used to justify their deaths. Time and time again, we have spoken about the importance of experienced staff and volunteers, how having that experience and knowledge mitigates safety risk to the staff, volunteers, and the community. Still, many of the staff and volunteers would be considered beginners in their experience with animals in general, and only have fundamental awareness surrounding behavior and modification. There is not an expert on staff, as Dr. O'Keefe would not be an expert, ethically, through experience, nor through education, as she is not board certified by the American College of Veterinary Behaviorists, which is the certifying board for veterinarians. We have been shouting from the rooftops for almost a year that behavioral assessments are proven not to work, that the behavior experts they claim to have are not experts, and that inexperienced leadership poses safety concerns.
Tim, time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President? Can I
Yes,
just-
and so before we go on, Channel 5 booth, people are having trouble hearing. Don't know if you can turn up mics. Okay, they're nodding yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for coming down again and for continuing to keep us apprised of what's really going on at Scraps. That's very helpful to hear. Unfortunately, we're very limited in what we
I
can.
know.
Point of order.
Yeah.
It's a point of personal privilege. Are you opposing that?
Yeah, from my understanding, personal privilege is actually about it's too hot in here, rather than just talking about
So-
the issue.
We'll-
Sure. So Mr. Zappone doesn't want me to respond, so we'll talk offline after the meeting.
Thank you. Sam Lee, Scott Ward, Ron McInerney.
I oppose the resolution 2023-0091 that includes affirming Israel's right to exist and condemning violence while expressing support for Jewish and Palestinian people. You cannot simultaneously affirm Israel's right to exist and express support for Palestinian people. If you condemned violence, being clear about who the oppressor and the oppressed is a vital entry point. Decontextualizing the Hamas retaliation is ahistorical and immoral. Palestinian people are criminalized and dehumanized simply for existing. But nothing I say will change your mind. So never mind that rainwater is a property of Israel. Never mind that Palestinian people would not be experiencing a genocide without the direct complicity of the U.S., because the only way this information would matter to you is if you value the lives of Palestinian people. Colonial endeavors do not value life. It is about land and extracting its resources with the means of hoarding wealth. If it served the apartheid state of Israel to enact a genocide upon Jewish people, it would. That is why Palestinian people are suffering now. This resolution is inhumane and despicable, and we want you all to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, no, no. We're not clapping. That's your last warning, and we will recess. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Scott Ward. I'm a member of the PSL, and I just want to, Council Member Zappone just talked about how there's an effort to rewrite the resolution, and I just want to be clear that we are not going to be okay with some kind of wishy-washy non-statement. Okay? It's got to be something that does justice to the Palestinian people. So I want to start with that. It's been over a month since the council rushed into a racist and historically illiterate resolution in support of the genocidal apartheid state of Israel. The council has failed to even apologize to the Spokane Palestinian community for the rushed resolution that was devoid of their voices, experiences, and history. Have you even attempted to educate yourselves on the history of the Zionist settler colonial project of Israel in the last month? 2 weeks ago, I sent every council member an email filled with critical sources for understanding the history of this so-called conflict. The email includes important award-winning documentaries like Gaza Fights for Freedom, books like The 100 Years' War on Palestine, and important Jewish voices like Miko Peled, who is the son of an Israeli general, yet stands with Palestine in their struggle for liberation and self-determination. You must do the work to learn the truth that has been hidden in our society by the onslaught of pro-Israeli propaganda spread by the corporate-backed media and ruling class politicians in the U.S. and other Western imperialist nations. Across the world, the majority of the people stand with Palestine and have been mobilizing in the streets, especially the Global South, which intimately understands colonialism, oppression, and that's because they understand that, they stand with Palestine. We have seen thousands of Jewish people across the United States mobilizing to shut down public spaces and offices of elected officials, calling for a ceasefire and an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestine. Your constituents support a ceasefire. 80% of Democrats, 56% of Republicans, and 66% of independents support a ceasefire. Okay, so if you don't, you're on the wrong side of history. Failure to learn and stand against this atrocity is complicity. This is a defining moment in your life, and your legacy will be dictated by your stance on this clear case of genocide.
Scott, time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ron, Tracy Blum, then Gus Dinsmore.
I wanted to come here tonight and speak on behalf of and in the defense of the United States Constitution. So I'm going to read from the Constitution, the First Amendment. It reads as such: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And I'll repeat that part: or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. A few weeks ago, this council voted to censure Mayor Woodward. Why? Because she participated in a religious event. In so censoring her, you violated her constitutional right. You violated her right to the free exercise of religion and to peaceably assemble. Frankly, what you did was not just a violation of her rights, it was a violation of the rights of the people of this city. It was a threat to our rights to peaceably assemble and to free exercise of religion. So I petition this body, and I ask you to issue a proclamation affirming the Constitution, the free exercise of religion, and the right of the people to peaceably assemble. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy, Gus Dinsmore, and Abe Stanborough.
Lori, we can't hear you at all.
Okay, Tracy? 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 Gus Dinsmore? Okay.
Hello, I'm very tired, but my name is Tracy, and I've been in this town, like I said, since I was 16, and every Veterans Day I get picked on. I'm really mad about it. I was arrested. They broke my ribs. I was released on Veterans Day, so it was the 7th on stuff, and I'm really getting tired of the violence in this town, and I really want something done with, we need safe housing, period, and I want something done with the Wolf in the Washington, too. That sounds good. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Gus Dinsmore, Abe Stanborough, Corey Childs.
My name is Gus. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm here tonight because I support the resistance of the Palestinian people in their fight for their liberation. Spokane residents will not stand for a council full of genocide apologists, and we demand a fixed resolution retracting previous comments condemning the Palestinians' fight for their lives and their land. Shame on the Spokane City Council and their complacency in this extreme, inhumane violence. Shame on you for being too cowardly to even be named and called out for your willingness to support this genocide. Shame on you for walking away when confronted with your actions and your words. That is the ultimate act of cowardice. Shame on your actions and your words. Israel has the right to defend itself from what exactly? Children throwing stones with lost limbs and infected wounds due to the lack of aid and care? Elderly too sick and weak to walk even a mile without collapsing to their knees? Men carrying women and children that aren't even related to because their own are already dead? A country that can't even afford their own military defenses to protect their own? What are they defending themselves from? We are calling on you to call for an immediate end to U.S. military aid to Israel. We are demanding you hear our voices, although regardless of whether or not you do tonight will not change our unwavering support for Palestine and our ability to keep showing up and speaking up. There can be no business as usual. Long live Gaza, long live Palestine, from the river to the sea. Ceasefire now. None of us are free until we all are, and we will fight for that liberation and freedom for as long as it takes for everyone, everywhere. History has its eyes on you, City Council. What will you give them to look at? Thank you.
Thank you. Abe Stanborough, Corey Childs, Jasmine Lind.
Hello, my name is Abraham, and I'd like to talk about the language of labels and how people in power use them to distort situations like the occupation of Palestine. Very recently, we have heard words like terrorist and criminal haphazardly used to describe a civilian populace. U.S. politicians and journalists confidently call for annihilation, while Israeli parliament openly hopes for the same. This is the same kind of dehumanizing rhetoric that was used to describe Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, who the FBI labeled as terrorists of black identity extremism. The same kind of propaganda that the South African government used to justify their apartheid. The Israeli propaganda machine loves our participation in the language of labels and genocide. And after generations of violent oppression and ritualistic humiliation by the IDF and extensions of the state, to summarize the events of this year as Israel exercising its right to defend itself is an obvious smokescreen that I'm stunned this council endorsed on October 9th, especially considering the footage we've all seen documenting the loss of life and monumentally disproportionate pain inflicted on Palestine. I'd like to end on a note of optimism. In Menachem Klein's famous book, Lives in Common, stories of coexistence between Palestinian Jews and Muslims are detailed in the decades up to Israel's illegal occupation. Stories are recounted where neighbors of different faiths share each other's religious holidays and their children play together. Some say this sentiment is a nostalgia for a time that we can't get back, but I believe that peaceful coexistence is possible. But make no mistake, that peace only comes when Israel ends its occupation and a ceasefire is declared, because they are the aggressors in this situation. And so long as we support them, financially or morally, so are we. City Council, I am just one of many that demand that you amend Resolution 91. Do not fall prey to the language of labels and show us you deserve to sit in those chairs and speak out. Spokane demands a ceasefire. Now it's your turn. Thank you.
Corey Childs, Jasmine Lind, then Sunshine Wiggins.
Hello, my name is Corey Childs. I'm 17 years old. I'm from the Hilliard neighborhood, and I attend Rogers High School and SCC. I'm speaking today to ask the City Council to retract the statement in support of Israel and issue one in support of an immediate ceasefire, humanitarian aid to Gaza, and the end of apartheid in Israel. There have been people in my community expressing that they think this is not our business and has nothing to do with us, but this thinking is wrong. I've had 2 jobs here in Spokane and bought a car these past couple of years. This means I pay taxes that are currently funding the genocide of Palestinian people, killing, bombing, displacing, and dismembering children like me, children younger than me, all the way down to newborns. I've had to watch these things. I have blood on my hands because I was born into the society my elders have made for me. We all play a very large part in this genocide, regardless of if we chose it. I'm an advocate for community, both locally and globally. The people of Palestine are my people, just as the people of Spokane are my people. Speaking in support of Palestine and condemning this genocide is speaking in support of my community. Our taxes should not be funding their genocide. They should be funding free health care, affordable housing, and food for our local community when we're currently facing a crisis in those areas. I know these crises firsthand, facing food insecurity, threats of becoming unhoused, and not having money for adequate care. My friends at Rogers know these crises firsthand. Your community, your people know these crises firsthand. We are suffering, so I cannot fathom why our city has both socially and financially supported a genocide on the other side of the planet. Why are we sending money to Israel when we are scrambling for funding for the homeless shelters? I've introduced myself tonight because I want my community to know me and to humanize me. I'm sure many people in this room already feel separated from me just for what I've said tonight, but I'm speaking to every person here when I say that I am your community, and I want to get to know you. I guarantee that our motives are more similar than we all think, and if we take the time to talk to each other and become organized, we can actually see the changes we're all fighting for. We are all human, and we are meant to be connected and in community with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Jasmine Lind, Sunshine Wiggins, Mackenzie Draper.
Hello, Council. My name is Jasmine Lind, and I am here in reference to Resolution 91 that was passed unanimously with little to no notice on the same day. In light of the past several weeks, I hope that the Council is regretting its unanimous decision to support Israel's right to defend itself, that you have seen the Palestinian people, civilians, children, suffering daily, that you have seen hospitals and schools attacked under the guise of counterterrorism when the true terrorists are the IDF. The colonialist Zionist regime that has systematically destroyed Palestinian society for generations. The government that calls their frequent bombings of Gaza mowing the grass. The state that has dehumanized and lied about the Palestinian people over and over. Israel decides who enters and leaves Gaza. Israel shuts off their electricity, cuts off access to clean water, food, and healthcare. Israel is a powerful and highly militarized government backed by other highly militarized governments, including our own. Gaza, on the other hand, is a concentration camp. To say that Israel is defending itself by murdering over 11,000 civilians, over 5,000 of which have been literal children, cutting off resources, tricking refugees into thinking that they have safe evacuation routes before bombing those same routes, Israel continues to blame Hamas to cover its own crimes. They said Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza was a base of operations for Hamas, and there was no evidence for this. They have hired actors to portray nurses in Gaza decrying Hamas's cruelty. They have slapped clearly empty boxes with medical supplies labels in English, not Arabic, not Hebrew, for photo ops of the good old IDF helping the very civilians that they have terrorized. Medical providers in Gaza have had to coin a new acronym recently, WCNSF, Wounded Child, No Surviving Family. We should never have to have an acronym like that. And I implore you to find your conscience and amend your resolution supporting genocide. Thank you.
Thank you. Sunshine Wiggins, Mackenzie Draper, Dave Billsland.
Sunshine Wiggin from Spokane, Washington. The only time you fail is when you fall down and stay down. So I just want to say thank you guys for everything you guys do, because you guys carry a lot of weight here in Spokane. You guys go to a lot of meetings and do a lot of things, and sometimes that's hard on our shoulders. Some days are easier than others. I think that about 40% of the homeless are capable of working, honestly. And I think that because of people helping them, that they do get back into workforce and housing and things of that on their own. But there are also the other 60% of the mentally ill. I could replace the muddy pants on a mentally ill person daily, but that doesn't change the fact that they have nowhere to go. But sometimes when I have to find strength, I have to go inside myself, even when I'm surrounded by all of you and everyone else. And I ask that everybody who is feeling burnout take 5 minutes a day to just kind of relieve some stress and remember that all of you are loved. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunshine. Mackenzie Draper, then Dave.
Mackenzie is online.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mackenzie.
Hope we can hear her.
Mackenzie, you're unmuted. Are you speaking? I'm going to make you a panelist. We're having a hard time hearing you, but I'm going to try to troubleshoot the audio here. think it's on us. Can you try one more time?
I think it's on us.
Mackenzie, we're going to come back to you. Sorry about this.
Clearly, we have some bugs to work out in this. Dave?
We got a new system, in case people didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brand new, has bugs. Dave, are you there?
I did see Dave.
I saw him earlier.
I thought I saw
There
him.
he is.
Here he comes. Come on down, Dave.
Mackenzie, I see you online still, and we're going to come back to you after Dave.
Go ahead.
Good evening, folks. I have a problem not with you guys, but our executive branch. I'm wondering why in the hell we don't have the Cannon shelter open. Bathrooms, showers, everything that people need. But instead you have them all over at Track where they can't get a shower and have to go outside and use a porta potty. And I think it's ridiculous that the city owns that and they're not using it. In fact, the churches are going to get a jump on you. I just saw a post by Jules Helping Hands. They're trying to organize churches to take 15 or 20 people. Imagine if half the churches did that. It put the city out of a job for helping the homeless. You could close down Track and move everybody over to Cannon where it's a lot more cost efficient. So I would appreciate it if the new executive branch looked into this. It's just plain common sense. If you're going to spend the money, spend it someplace where the people can get their freaking services. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to.
Can we go back to Mackenzie?
Oh,
Council
sorry.
President?
Go ahead.
Mackenzie, can you try one more time?
Of course, can you hear me better this time?
Yeah, we've got to work around.
Nice.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for helping me with that. I am just wanting to express to the City Council that the October 9th statement expressing full support for the Israeli state's complete destruction of Palestinian life and culture is abhorrent and antithetical to the values of peace, justice, and well-being for Spokane residents this City Council expressed in early October. Millions of Americans are urging our democratic leaders to decry the apartheid and genocide of Palestinian people. I also urge you, Spokane City Council, to display the base amount of moral fiber necessary to stand up to this violent and warmongering state and to stand with the Palestinian community in solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Thank you for doing that, Mr. Byrd. We'll keep you around for a while. All right. Consent agenda. Terry, do you want to read?
Sure. Reports, contracts, and claims. Number one, value blanket renewal with Gulls LLC, Spokane for police jumpsuits from October 1, 2023 through September 30, 2024, $150,000. Number two, purchase from L.N. Curtis & Sons, Kent, Washington, of Avon gas masks and related items for all personnel in the Spokane Police Department from the rank of sergeant and below utilizing NPP Gov cooperative agreement. Number PS 20105, $250,000. Number three, consultant agreement with Tool Design Group LLC, Silver Spring, Maryland, to conduct the Pacific Avenue Greenway study for bikeway route selection and conceptual design from November 15, 2023 through December 31, 2025, $179,000 plus tax if applicable. Number four, acceptance of BJA fiscal year 2022 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant as a subaward from the Department of Justice through Spokane County, $96,850 revenue. Number five, acceptance of BJA fiscal year 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, $214,815 revenue, of which $96,667 will be subawarded to Spokane County. Item number six, report of the mayor of pending aid claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through November 10, 2023. Total $9,544,979.76 with Parks and Library claims approved with respective boards. Warrants excluding Parks and Library total $9,064,536.84. B, payroll claims of previously approved obligations through November 11, 2023, $9,611,926.47. Number 7, City Council meeting minutes for October 9, corrected, November 9, and November 14, 2023. Number 8, Spokane Police Lieutenants and Captains Association collective bargaining agreement for 2023 to 2026.
Good, thank you. We have a few people signed up. First up, and you have 3 minutes now, is Eric Lowe, and then William Hewlings, and then Justice for All.
Good evening. My name is Eric Lowe, and I'm a stay-at-home dad residing in Spokane Valley. In front of you, I've placed a few pictures. First, an SUV drove through a house on Wellesley early Thursday morning. As you can see, it went entirely into the home. The second photo is the front of that vehicle after it was pulled from the house. Lifted SUV with a giant flat grille, looks like every trunk in town. Looks better than the house, which is the third photo. 6 people now without a home. The driver will get a rental car while theirs is in the shop. The fourth photo is from the ribbon cutting of the Wellesley exit of the North Spokane Freeway, also from Thursday. The final photo is a Google Maps image showing the distance from the highway roundabout to the front door of the Wellesley house, 1,100 feet. Last week, I emailed the council and offered to take you on walking tours of recent pedestrian fatalities in your respective districts. Each of these deaths happened in the past 6 months and were preventable through safe road design. I have received no response. A month ago, I sent this council my proposal to create a citywide grid of pedestrianized streets as part of a larger parks and transportation levy I've dubbed Spokane Reimagined. I spoke about it during open forum last week. Only one member has offered to meet with me regarding the proposal, though that meeting is not yet scheduled. I've been working on this proposal for over a year. God knows how many hours I poured into it. I was fully expecting to devote my time this winter into organizing a community group toward the goal of getting something on the November 2024 ballot. Have you watched the commercials I sent you? Building a movement is about building momentum, and I had the next year all mapped out. Then the Parks Board sent you the levy, and I had to switch gears. Putting a minimum viable product level parks levy on the February ballot to compete with other levies in a woefully low turnout election is quite the blunder. Ignoring calls to curb traffic violence is a significantly bigger blunder. Your constituents are dying on our streets. I have a solution. It works. It has worked in Europe and Asia for decades. For 1/10 of the cost of the North Spokane Freeway, we could reach Vision Zero before the next on-ramp ribbon cutting. You passed your Vision Zero resolution a year ago this month. Now you're about to hand a consultant group $179,000 of taxpayer money to do the second 2-year study, which may eventually result in a greenway or in a bikeway design on Pacific. Will the bikeway be finished before the freeway? Were you serious about achieving 0 road deaths? I have data and studies for every concern you might have, but I have no idea what those concerns might be because I cannot get a meeting. I guess we'll just have to have our meeting 3 minutes at a time for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Thank you. William Hewlings, and then Justice for All, and Ping Ping is on video.
Good evening. My name is Will Hewlings, and I live downtown. Anyways, I just want to speak on gas masks for our law enforcement. As a veteran, gas masks protected my life. We would constantly drill. Like when we were over in the Middle East, these people talking about the Middle East, when I was over there, we had a train. We were, chemical agents. You had anthrax was a big thing in 1998. So I'm all for gas masks and also for this, what is it? this other one where they were talking about ballistic panels for the vehicles, for the doors. This OPR 2023-1211. I'm for that too. I'm actually for all the stuff for our police. And as a citizen, like, I'm really worried about what's going to happen to our city. Like, as someone that lives down here, it's eye-opening. The stuff that happens, the assaults, the crime, a lot of it's just right over by the STA bus terminal. And, you know, and one of the reasons, you know, SPD needs gas masks is, I mean, I find it kind of alarming that they don't, not all of them have gas masks. I mean, and then with next year, obviously they're worried about the protests, the elections. And as someone that lived down here, I watched in 2020 where I wish I would have had a gas mask, because I got some of that gas. I breathed some of that stuff in, so I hope they're protected. But anyways, thank you.
Justice for all, Ping Ping, and then Zach McGuckin.
I want to remind this council, you can point of order things that are not related to the consent agenda. This council has and continues to brag about non-defund the police, as each year they spend millions on special budget requests from Teslas to virtual reality taser training. We continue to see the outcomes of the city's decision. A police force that only answers the calls of a privileged few while services go underfunded, and the people continue to see the failures on the war on drugs and shoveling money into the pit of indigent human suffering at the track shelter, where it isn't given to the people for upward mobility, but millions are dumped into Larry Stone's pockets, at a warehouse for humans that should never have existed. And at the top of the consent agenda, we have $150,000 for jumpsuits for the police. This is a year contract. We've already spent $150,000 on jumpsuits for the police spring of 2021. I think the police need to have an audit on how they're spending the money, because that's a lot of money on jumpsuits, at $300,000 in jumpsuits in 2 years. The second item, as the previous speaker spoke about, is gas masks. The Spokane Police Department is acquiring new gas masks, this is, I'm reading directly, associated equipment for all personnel rank sergeant and below, so all of the police. SPD does not currently have masks for each person, and each mask needs to be individually fit. And then, as some of the fear-mongering that we heard, also quoted in that resolution, or in that item, the coming year will be an election year and has been the potential to be tense and tumultuous possibility requiring the use of masks. We saw in 2020 what exactly happened. We saw the police force hyping themselves up to storm the streets of Spokane. We saw there was no violence from any of the protesters. There was the Nike store broken into at the time, but the reaction from the majority of the protesters was stopping people from looting. At that point, we saw what happened. We saw the police using tear gas and rubber bullets. We saw the damage that had happened to several of the people of Spokane. And we know when the police, the only people who have access to tear gas, the only people who are tear gassing the citizens are the police. The only people who are using this, who are necessarily to use this stuff are the police. We continue to see the militarization of our police force, just like we see around the world. We see that Israel is an example of a dominant police force, and as I said before, as we use defense around the world, we use public safety as the same kind of terminology. Public safety means more than just a force of violence. It means peaceful measures. It means creating a better and safer community. It means creating a system that works for the people. Creating systems of violence where everything is the only tool you have in your tool belt, as people like to say, is a hammer. Well, our police are that hammer. You continue to pay for only the hammer. You can continue to reinforce and refund the hammer of society. And we have yet to see any kind of real change in this community. We have yet to see any real change for Spokane.
Justice, time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ping Ping's online.
Go ahead, Ping Ping, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Hi, good evening, City Council President and members. I'm Ping Ping. I speak as an immigrant from China and an individual commissioner from Washington State, Asian Pacific American Affairs. I want to urge you to pass the Language Access Ordinance and implement it in 2024 budget. This ordinance will make a huge difference for people who do not have privilege to claim English as their first language, or people speaking English with the non-American accents. It will make a huge difference to create belongingness for people from diverse cultural backgrounds. And belongingness will make Spokane be united, and United States of America be united. In my understanding, politicians are the people striving to improve people's social and emotional well-being. You have power to make a difference in people's lives. Your power is given by people's vote. Good politicians are people who will not think for, non-numerical majority. Languages are different, but people's hearts are the same. Your compassion can be felt by people who are citizens but cannot participate in civic discussions because of severe language barriers, and make much wider participation from diverse people. Spokane will become more interesting. In one word, language access makes democracy real, authentic, and vibrant. I urge you to fill a language access coordinator in Office of CREI. When you make decisions, keep your ancestors in your heart. When they come to this land, do they want to see their language accessible in city government when they came to look for a better life, leaving everything behind? I'm sure they did. You are honoring your ancestors if you vote yes to language access ordinance and make equity in the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Zach McGuckin and Megra, who's going to call in.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Zachary McGuckin. I'm a resident of Spokane, and I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And I'm here to talk about the jumpsuits, the bulletproof doors, and the gas masks. So yesterday, we had a rally over at the Red Wagon for Palestine, and it was one of our smaller rallies. There was probably about 100 people there, so not a huge rally. It was completely peaceful. There was no real threat of anything happening, and yet about every 10 minutes, we'd see 15 bike cops come by. When me and some comrades pulled up to set up the rally, there were police there waiting for us, and these officers we had never met before, but they knew us all by name in an attempt to intimidate us. And so this shows where this money is going to. Why do we need to be paying for 15 bike cops, at least 5 police vehicles that were in sight, more hidden police vehicles that were in sight, or like unidentified police vehicles that were in sight, and also additional cop cars that were in the surrounding blocks for a rally of 100 people. The cost in just labor doesn't add up. And then you're telling me that these people who are already a massive waste of our city's budget, sending probably 100 plus people to watch a rally of 100 people, want to get gas masks, want to spend thousands of dollars on jumpsuits, want to get bulletproof doors for their vehicles. This is not where this money should be going. It should be going to things that are actually helping people. Things that like healthcare, things like housing, things that actually contribute to public safety. And I want to echo the point. The people out in the streets when we protest, because they talk about how this is going to be a tumultuous election. They're afraid of the people. These officers are supposed to be serving the people. How can you serve someone if you are afraid of them? The people who are out in the streets protesting, we're not using tear gas. We're not using chemical weapons that have been outlawed internationally that the police use on our own civilians. If we give them gas masks, that's just emboldening their brutality. That's just emboldening the violence that they enact upon the masses that they're supposed to be serving. I cede the rest of my time.
Thank you. Negra.
Go ahead, Megra.
Thank you. Consent agenda item number 2 is for purchasing gas masks and related items for all police personnel rank of sergeant and below. Every policeman, sergeant to newbie, will be receiving a purchased, individually fitted gas mask. But these masks are not just specially fitted to each individual's face, but they're for gassing other people. It'll cost $250,000, and the reason cited in this agenda is, quote, the coming year will be an election year and has the potential to be tense and tumultuous, possibly requiring the use of the mask. There's a reason why there's not just 5 or 10 masks. If it was really about drug busting fentanyl, you would only need a special drug task force to have these masks. You wouldn't need every single policeman, sergeant to rookie being individually fitted for their own personal gas mask. There's been no historic evidence of violence due to election results, with the exception of the breach of our country's capital January 6th. Spokane's personal, peaceful protests have warranted no such weapons of war to be used against them, paid for by themselves. $250,000 for the militarization of our police for, and I quote from the agenda, when we, referring to the police, have deployed chemical agents. They're the ones deploying chemical agents, and they're the ones who have the gas masks, the specially fitted ones, so that they're not affected by these weapons that they're using against people. The police bear maced an entire apartment building in Spokane recently, the last couple years, and at night when the fleeing residents were trying to get out of their maced apartment buildings, they were screamed at. There's no written impact on this agenda of what this proposal would have on the historically excluded communities. This page is not filled out at all. There's nothing about how data for these individually fitted masks will be collected or analyzed as to how they're used. There's not even a non-applicable, which is because it's very applicable. This is very needed, and it's just not filled out. It's just a page that's in our agenda that's completely blank. This is an outrageous and unnecessary purchase. It's terrifying. This money could instead be used to shelter our fellow human beings with our hazardous weather, our sub-freezing weather, our inclement weather that's coming up, and instead it's being used $250,000 to gas them. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, council commentary. Council commentary. Nothing? Could I get a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Stratton, did you have anything to say?
I do not.
Okay, we can hear you. That's great, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
All right, thank you. We're having trouble hearing, so you really got to get up there, yeah.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Stratton, is that an aye?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Terry, let's move on to special budget ordinances.
Ordinance C-36-462, amending ordinance number C-36-345, passed by the City Council December 12, 2022, and entitled an ordinance adopting the annual budget of the City of Spokane for 2023, making appropriations to the various funds of the City of Spokane government for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2023, and providing it shall take effect immediately upon passage and declared an emergency and appropriating funds in Public Safety and Judicial Grants Fund, number 1, increased revenue by $96,850. A of the increased revenue, $96,850, is provided by the Department of Justice through Spokane County as part of the JAG 22 Grant Award Program. Number 2, increased appropriation by $96,850. A of the increased appropriation, $96,850, is provided solely for equipment. This action arises from the need to accept Edward Byrne Memorial JAG 22 grant funding from the Department of Justice.
Thank you. We have 4 people signed up. John Alder, Justice for All, Megra, and Scott Ward. John, come on down.
I hear we're spending like $13,000 per adult and $6,000 per child. It wouldn't surprise us that we're spending more in the police than we are in the social programs that could feed, house, provide medicine for low-income families, or counseling on mental or substance treatment. Most people you'll find are in jail are in active desperation, usually because they have no job or no food. That's why they usually end up in jail, which is usually not a productive way of benefiting life. I keep reminding you, Robert Reich once said we spend 1.7 trillion more on law enforcement than we do on social programs. We need to turn this around. Let's start doing it with this 2024 city budget.
Thank you. Justice for All, then Megra, then Scott.
Just like the previous budgets, again, this is another more millions of dollars that we are shoveling towards the police, just like the last speaker spoke about. We see that with this, there's also the questions have not been filled out. What kind of data can we expect from this? And what kind of data do we have now? Have police vehicles been targeted of gun violence? I don't believe so. We haven't had officers testifying during the public safety meetings about this. So why is this a necessity that we need now is another question. The vehicles that the officers have been requesting over the past few years as well has also been a huge amount of money for the police. The Teslas that did not work out were millions of dollars of wasted things that the police then made fun of that they got. It seems like this is another excuse to spend money that doesn't need to be spent on a budget that's already overinflated, that they should be learning how to allocate the money. Again, the police budget is the highest budget. We'll talk about that more once we get to the budget section of the agenda. But this is another poor purchase by the Spokane City Council. We know this is probably going to be approved since the Spokane City Council brags about how non-defund the police they are. And when we talk about defunding the police, because I want to provide some clarification to the sloganeering, defunding the police means, again, when we talk about, as I spoke about in my previous testimony, not everything should be the hammer when it comes to societal issues. And again, we see we're spending all of our money on the hammer. We need to make sure we expand our services. That means housing, that means mental health, that means drug addiction treatment. Please stop spending money on stuff for the police that, doesn't actually have any data that they need it, doesn't actually have any data afterwards. There's no tracking, there's no accountability, there's no, you don't request anything. At least do some data requests at the very least, which I have requested before, but since those, at one point, City Council was advocating for data requests. There was a couple months that you were, but you didn't get any. So that also sucks. Thank you.
Megra, and then Scott.
Go ahead, Megra, you're unmuted. Megra, we're not hearing you. Let me do a workaround here. Okay, go ahead, Megra. Yep, we can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Thank you so much. This ordinance accepts the JAG award for 2022. The next ordinance is for the 23 award. It says that the Spokane City portion is $96,850. And that this grant quote will be used to procure and install ballistic door panels into SPD patrol vehicles. Like we just heard, how is this a necessary purchase for SPD patrol vehicles? We've never had issues with this. We've never heard any safety testimony that this is needed, that this is emergent, that this is something we have to spend this JAG award for. This money comes from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program, and they're specific but very broad about the areas that this money can be used for. It includes law enforcement, prosecution, indigent defense, whatever that means, courts, crime prevention and education, corrections and community corrections, drug treatment and enforcement, planning, evaluation, technology improvement, crime victim and witness initiatives, mental health programs, and related law enforcement and correction programs, including behavioral programs and crisis intervention teams, and implementation of state crisis intervention court proceedings and related programs or initiatives including, but not limited to, mental health courts, drug courts, veterans courts, and extreme risk protection order programs. Which one of those does procuring and installing ballistic door panels fall into? Instead of unnecessarily militarizing our police vehicles, we could use this money for mental health programs. We could use this for behavioral programs, mental health courts, drug courts. We could use this money in our criminal justice law enforcement system and our criminal law enforcement system to help Spokane citizens. We could use this to further people's lives instead of installing ballistic door panels. On page 143, this also says that the total cost for this ordinance is $311,665. I'm not sure where that number is coming from unless it's combining the $96,850 that was previously mentioned that these vehicles will cost with the next ordinance. But that doesn't make sense either, because the next ordinance has $214 some odd $1,000, but it's split between city and county award, and so not all of the $214,000 go to the city. So on page 143, that $311,665 seems like a confusing, misleading number.
Negra, time's up.
I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Scott Ward.
My question is, are we interested in healing this society and tackling the root causes, or are we just interested in brutalizing the victims of this broken capitalist imperialist society by further militarizing the police? We could fund affordable housing. We have unaffordable housing in the city, so we could help people with that instead of money for bulletproof doors and gas masks and whatever else. We could fund education and job training programs so people have good jobs and are thriving, and that helps the entire society. That gets to the root cause of things rather than just more funds for militarized police. We could fund addiction treatment so that people get the help they need instead of just thrown in prison where they don't really get the help they need. It becomes a cycle. We could fund mental health care and make sure people have that kind of support that our community often does not get unless you have enough money to afford it. I also want to note just the anti-blackness of continuing to elevate funding for the police. Millions of people across the United States rose up in horror about police violence in 2020. And what have both corporate-backed parties across the United States and in this chamber done? Nothing but fund more police. I can't think of anything more racist than that. So y'all should fund the people's needs and not the prison industrial complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from council? He's ready to vote. Any comment? Councilmember Stratton, any commentary from you?
No commentary.
Okay, just reminding everybody that these are grants, so there are certain requirements that they do have to report back, they have to give data. That's part of what happens when you accept a grant. Also reminding council that we've also used these same sorts of funds for behavioral health specialists, for drug and alcohol court, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just one piece of what we're doing tonight. All right, prepare to vote. Okay, hand count. It's not showing up.
It is.
It is.
Oh, it's not showing up on ours. Okay. Councilmember Stratton, how do you vote? She said aye, right?
Can you try that again, Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thanks.
That's it. Thank you. All right. Next, Terry.
Ordinance C-36-463, Public Safety and Judicial Grants Fund. Number 1, increased revenue by $214,815. A of the increased revenue, $214,815, is provided by the Department of Justice as part of the JAG 23 Grant Award Program. Number 2, increase appropriation by $214,815. A of the increased appropriation, $42,678, is provided solely for personal protective equipment. B of the increased appropriation, $75,470, is provided solely for a vehicle. C of the increased appropriation, $96,667, is provided solely for contractual services. This action arises from the need to accept Edward Byrne Memorial JAG 23 grant funding from the Department of Justice.
Okay, 4 people signed up. John Alder, Justice for All, Megra, and Scott Ward.
I myself almost found myself due to medical bills and job loss. I drove bills to the point I was living on the streets. My mom's unfortunate death, which I still mourn, did all have her leave a trust fund that would cure the financial woes. However, how many people living on a fixed income that doesn't even cover the average rent for a reasonable studio can afford it, can be able to do this? By 2040, 25% of your state's population will be over 65. Imagine how many people will be looking at being homeless. I hope we don't find too many grandmas and grandpas left homeless. Please remember this when you're using these funds.
Thank you. Justice for All.
On May 31st, 2020, Spokane, the city, shut down the bus line at, I believe, 5 or 6 p.m. So we had thousands of people trapped downtown who normally would take public transit to get back home to where they would live. As I spoke about before, we know that this money is going to be what it's going to be used for, and absolutely, I'm happy that you spend some money on mental health, as you said, for this JAG award. But we know, again, the outcomes of what this city spends its money on. We see as people every day when we go out downtown, when we go and live our lives, we see what this city has spent its money on. And it's not an accountable police force. It's not a police force that answers the calls of the people. It's not even expanding that issue. And in 2020, as those thousands of people were trapped downtown, it's so hard coming up here, and always the city council member is always looking somewhere else. I appreciate Bingo just staring at me. There's at least that, but y'all, it's disparaging. You act like I'm disrespectful. It's sad. Those are human beings, who have been and will be tear gassed by our police force. Those are people who are suffering, and there's people around the world who are facing the same kind of thing, even worse. We don't need to continue the violence anywhere in the world. We don't need to continue it here in Spokane, and we don't need to continue it in Palestine. please remember some of the testimonies we heard from some of the people who got hurt, the people who were choking on gas, you know, the people who were swarmed by police when they were just peacefully protesting, not doing anything. Please remember, you know, the effects of these chemical agents. Please remember why they are a war crime. And stop enabling people to use such violence on the citizens, you know, the community. It doesn't help. It doesn't make anything better. What makes things better, as we've talked about over and over again, is services. Making sure our community can connect with one another. Making sure there's opportunities. Making sure that people can play in the parks. Making sure that people have places to go at night. Making sure that people have treatment options. Thank you.
Okay. Megra.
Go ahead, Megra.
Thank you. So this ordinance is for the second acceptance of the grant for the 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance. This says that it's for $214,815, of which it says $96,667 is actually sub-awarded to Spokane County. That, if true, leaves $118,148. But the three things listed total up to the $214,815. It says that $42,000 is spent for gas masks, but we saw previously that the total cost for the gas masks is $250,000. This says that $75,000 will be spent on one single vehicle, and it says $97,000, almost $96,667 will be spent for contractual services, for paying money to people in administration, it sounds like. All those three added together equal the $214,000. So I'm not sure if the sub-award to the county is being part of the Spokane city budget or not. But that's not the only numbers that don't quite add up and are confusing. This says that the purchase of the gas masks that are individually fitted, it says that $42,000 of this DOJ grant fund will go towards that, and that $180,000 are from SPD Capital. But it says that the gas masks actually cost $250,000, so that doesn't add up. And like we just heard, this is not necessary. We have used funds sparsely in the past for language access or mental or drug health courts. We should continue to be doing that. It shouldn't be a one and done. It shouldn't be a, we did this once 5 years ago, now we can forget about it. It should be a goal that we strive to every day. This money is being used to attack citizens. It's not being used to better anyone's lives. It's not being used to further equity in the valley. This is just a bad allocation of these funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Ward.
The way we spend our money as a city, as a society, it's a value statement on what we care about. And so as a city, when we have such a hyper-militarized police force, and in this country that we live in, we have the most militarized police force in the world. Like, it's not even close. The city of New York itself spends more on militarizing their police than the entire country of North Korea. Okay? So when we think about that, and we think about the fact that we have more incarcerated people in this society in our country than anywhere else in the world. And then we also think about we're the only country that has hundreds of military bases around the world, right? Okay? So those are value statements. We are valuing militarization and violence by those decisions. So if we want to have a society that's actually more healthy, more healed, we need to change the decisions we're making, okay? You wonder why, we have so many people living on the streets in the freezing cold. You wonder why we're the only nation in the world that has school shooting problems constantly. I'm a teacher. I have to go to school wondering, like, is it going to be safe this year? Am I going to, it's sad. We're the only society that deals with that. Okay? We're the only society that deals with constant mass shootings. So we have a very violent society, and it's because we're a highly militarized society, whether that's the military, whether that's our police force. So none of this is solving any of the problems we're talking about. Okay? People need to be able to afford homes. Okay? People have to spend 30%, many have to spend over 50% of their monthly income on housing. Okay? People can't afford mental health care. People can't afford many different kinds of health care, right? Okay? People aren't getting the drug addiction treatment that they need, okay, because it's often unaffordable. So again, value statements. What are you all valuing when you're passing these budgets, when you're deciding what to do with this money? So fund the people's needs, not militarization. Thank you.
Thank you. Curtis Robinson, is he online?
Online.
Okay.
Go ahead, Curtis.
I'm muted, hold on.
No, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, thank you for making time for this, and I appreciate the council president and council members, and give me just 1 second while I pull up my notes here. So I want to, I appreciate the mayor's financial, strategic areas to advance the outcomes in our public safety, housing, homelessness, economic development, and sustainable, efficient outcomes our operations. And after reviewing your agenda document, which was over 1,000 pages, as well as the budget proposal from the mayor's office, which was almost 350 pages, I learned in a very grounded perspective that you all have a tough job, and you have my utmost sympathies and appreciation for the work that you're doing. Yet it must also be clearly stated that some of the cornerstones of what must be openly embedded in all of this are at least two factors: the Office of Civil Rights continuing to be more than adequately funded, as well as increasing training and accountability for our law enforcement family. For when you look at the issues of the core challenges that we are facing, most of our community is more often than not, it is a lack of accountability for people in the places of power and privilege, while in tandem overburdening and overpunishing the poor and the marginalized. At this time, you have a grand opportunity with the recent shift in electoral power to do the right thing, at least sustainably fund the Office of Civil Rights and embed accountability supports for law enforcement. Let me say that again. Embed accountability supports for law enforcement. When you decide to leverage that, you have now increased the ability to make those bedrocks inherently more the issues of public safety, housing, homelessness, economic development, and sustainable and efficient operations being handled and funded more appropriately, and it will be a natural product and moral and fiscal commitment. And some of those moral and fiscal commitments need to be, they are essential to any healthy and thriving community, are common human dignity, accountability, restorative justice, and bias mitigation. Sandy Williams stated this over and over again. They don't listen because they don't want to hear it, because if they really hear it, then they would have to do something about it. My last statement to you, council members, is this question: do you hear us? Do you hear me? Are you listening? Thank you for making the time for this.
Thank you, Curtis. Council commentary. Councilmember Stratton, anything to say? All right, good. Prepare to vote. Okay. Are you shy? Let's try again. 1, 2, 3. Councilmember Stratton, are you an aye?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Next up, Terry.
Ordinance C 36-464, Home Entitlement Program Fund, number 1, increased revenue by $4,628,671. A of the increased revenue, $4,628,671, is provided by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as part of the Home American Rescue Plan Home ARP Program. Number 2, increased appropriation by $4,628,671. A of the increased appropriation, $4,207,883, is provided solely for contractual services to be provided by the city subrecipients to deliver housing and shelter services to the community. B of the increased appropriation, $260,398, is provided solely for salaries and benefits for the city of Spokane's employees who will be administering the programs. C of the increased appropriation, $160,390, is provided solely for other supplies, services, and equipment required for the administration of the programs. This action arises from the need to provide housing and shelter services to the citizens of Spokane via the Home ARP program.
Thank you. We have 3 people signed up, Tracy Blum, John Alder, and Sherry Barnett. Tracy? Tracy is...
Is Tracy online?
Is Tracy online? She will be testifying in person, she says. All right, John Alder? No, he says no. Sherry Barnett? Okay, no Sherry Barnett.
Saw Sherry.
I saw Sherry too. All right. People are disappearing. Well, let's have council commentary first. Anybody? No? Really quiet tonight. Councilmember Stratton, anything to add? Anything to add?
No, well, I will say that there has been so much work put in by CHHS staff and some of the CHHS committees to make sense of all of this funding and, really look into the areas that need it the most. And if I'm correct, some of this money will be for senior housing. There will be some for people with disability housing, and some was also going to go to, I want to say, youth.
Yes.
But I just want to recognize the staff because this is a heavy lift to get this information out there and to get the money awarded. And it's very much appreciated because we really do need that, especially that senior housing piece is vital right now. We need more housing for seniors.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? Prepare to vote. Okay, how do you vote, Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. 36465, Terry.
Ordinance C 36-465, Fire EMS Fund, number 1, increased revenue by $628,000. A of the increased revenue, $600,000, is provided solely for wildfire mobilization reimbursement from the Department of Natural Resources and other agencies. B of the increased revenue, $28,000, is provided solely for insurance recoveries on damaged vehicles and apparatus. Number 2, increase appropriation by $628,000. A of the increased appropriation, $600,000, is provided solely for overtime and travel of firefighters deployed to wildfire events. B of the increased appropriation, $28,000, is provided solely for vehicle and apparatus repairs. This action arises from the need to realize wildfire mobilization reimbursement and insurance recoveries.
Thank you. So this is a reimbursement from Department of Natural Resources. Remember, we had quite the wildfire season this year, and some of our folks went out to help other communities, so we're getting some of what we spent back, and this is us accepting that. Any council commentary? Karen, nothing? All right, prepare to vote. How do you vote, Karen? Sorry, Councilmember Stratton? Thank you. All right, Terry, let's go to, before you, we want to go to, yes, let's go to resolutions and final reading ordinances, and then we're going to take things a little out of order. So go ahead, 0096.
Resolution 2023-96 of the City of Spokane relating to the water and sewer rehabilitation program for on-site septic systems, side sewer, and water service lines.
Thanks. Nobody signed up. Any council commentary?
Just so people know, it's just a small little loan program for people if they have damage at their house and can't afford to fix it themselves.
Yes. Anybody else? Okay, prepare to vote. How do you vote, Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, Terry.
Resolution 2023-97 will be considered under special considerations item S2. Resolution 2023-98, approving the Spokane Employees Retirement System Board's change in the employee and employer contribution rates in accordance with Spokane Municipal Code 4.14.070.
There's no one signed up. Any council commentary? Okay, prepare to vote. Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, Terry.
Ordinances C-36-458 and Ordinance C-36-459 will be considered under hearings. Ordinance C-32-457, amending Ordinance C-32-457 that vacated 6th Avenue from approximately 100 feet west of Audubon Street to Audubon Street and located in the northeast quarter of the Section 23, Township 25 North, Range 42 East, Willamette Meridian.
No one signed up. Do you need any information from Eldon? He's waited patiently back there.
Thank you, Eldon.
Thank you, Eldon. All right, no council commentary. Prepare to vote. Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to take the housing piece first at Spencer Gardner's request. So H1, H2. Do you want to go ahead and read that, please?
Do you want me to read them both? Okay.
Yeah.
H1, final reading ordinance C-36-458 relating to housing development regulations and extending an interim zoning ordinance, repealing section 17C.400.010, .020, and .030 of the Spokane Municipal Code, and amending section 17C.400.040 of the Spokane Municipal Code to extend an additional 6 months. H2, final reading ordinance C-36-459 relating to increasing housing options by permitting and encouraging the construction of middle housing in more residential zoning districts, adopting subdivision processes to encourage home ownership, implementing Section 3 of House Bill 1110, amending Spokane Municipal Code, Chapter 17A.020.010.020.030.040.190.191.200.17C.120.060, 17A.040.020, .030.040.050, 17C.120.500, 17C.122.060, 17C.200.020.040.100, 17Z.230.110.130, 17C.300.010.100.110.130, 17G.020.060, 17G.025.010, 17G.030.010.030.040.030, 135, 17G.080.020.040.050.060, .065, repealing Spokane Municipal Code, Chapter 17C.110, 17G.060, and 17G.060T, and SMC Section 17G.080.010, and .080, adopting Spokane Municipal Code, Chapter 17C.111, and 17G.061, and Spokane Municipal Code, Section 17D, .060.135, 17G.080.000, and 17G.080.025, and setting an effective date.
Good job. All right, we have a presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead.
Good evening, Council. Tim Thompson, Principal Planner, along with Casey Downey, Associate Planner. We're here tonight to present 2 items for your consideration, 2 ordinances. The first is to extend the interim regulations regarding centers and corridors. There's some standards within that particular section of the interim ordinance that we want to keep for an additional 6 months to give staff some additional time to work through some other work that we have going on. And then the second ordinance includes amendments related to increasing housing options by permitting and encouraging middle housing. Next slide, please. As you're all aware, there was a housing emergency declared in 2021. As a result of that, the Building Opportunity and Choices for All interim ordinance was adopted in July of 22. Over the past year and a half, staff has vetted those interim regulations. We've learned what works, what doesn't work. We did considerable outreach. We talked to many developers. We identified barriers. All of those items have been taken into consideration as part of these permanent regulations, which are proposed as part of the Building Opportunity for Housing Code Amendment package. Next slide, please.
As Tim just said, this was a year-and-a-half process, starting with the interim ordinance, which was passed in July of 2022. We've had 76 units approved under the interim ordinance so far. We then began working on the permanent changes. The first phase of the comprehensive plan amendments were approved by City Council in July of this year. We are now in phase 2, which is the code changes. The proposal was before Plan Commission on October 11th. They recommended approval of the code amendments unanimously. And obviously, we are here today. We have given a lot of presentations to Plan Commission, to realtors groups, to the Spokane Human Rights Commission. We've also tried to reach individuals who can't actually go to presentations. We had a community survey that had over 3,500 responses. We've had resident forums. We've conducted community organization and faith-based roundtables. Our goal here was really to listen to people we don't typically have the opportunity to hear from. And that engagement led to the proposed code amendments that we have today. Next slide. In summary, those proposed code amendments really take two forms. We're moving away from regulating housing by density and instead looking at form and scale. We believe this will allow needed flexibility to increase housing opportunities throughout Spokane. We also took a look at our processes around housing, in particular, making it easier to subdivide lots, which can help increase opportunities for home ownership. So really looking at the rental and home ownership opportunities with these code proposals. In the original draft proposal that was before Plan Commission, there was recommended language to adjust the parking requirements for residential uses. The recommended language was no required parking for residential development within 1/2 mile of a major transit stop. Plan Commission did recommend changing that language, shifting it to better reflect the current parking interim ordinance that was passed by City Council earlier this summer. That language is no residential required parking within a 1/2 mile of any transit stop. Of note, these regulations get rid of the requirement for a minimum of parking for residential uses, but does not prohibit parking for residential uses. So if a developer does choose to still provide parking on site, that is perfectly acceptable.
We've heard a lot about infrastructure related to this proposal, and it's important to point out that the city's levels of service are adopted as part of the city's comprehensive master plan. So those levels of service exist within, I believe it's Appendix C of the city's comprehensive plan. New development must ensure concurrency, which is, and I'm just going to quote here, is the timely provision of public facilities and services relative to the demand for them. To maintain concurrency means that adequate public facilities are in place to serve new development as it occurs or within a specified time period. And that includes ensuring that there is a plan or even funding and financing in place to accommodate that new development and the infrastructure to serve that. This proposal does not introduce development into new areas. It merely affects what the new development may look like. Next slide, please. Oh, we got. In summary, these changes provide opportunities for more housing types and home ownership. The additional flexibility and feasibility provided increase housing choice and opportunities for all. And with that, we'll wrap up our presentation.
Any questions? Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work. I know this was grueling at times. You guys did yeoman's job, so thank you, appreciate it. We've combined these two hearings, so we have the same people who have signed up for both. I'm going to call you 3 at a time, so if you'd come down, that'd be great, save us some time. Eric Lowe, Brennan Boone, can't see the last name, and Jen Ray.
Good evening. My name is Eric Lowe, and I'm a stay-at-home dad residing in Spokane Valley. Before I became a stay-at-home dad, like I said last week, I worked as a researcher in commercial property appraisal. I'm here to speak in favor of the zoning changes you've proposed, as well as commend the council on the work you and the planning department have done over the last year and a half to make these changes. Anything and everything you can do to make it easier and cheaper to build housing for all income levels, the faster you will ease our housing shortage. That said, just like the parks levy you're currently considering, I don't think these changes go far enough. Though, unlike the parks levy, I do believe this is what Spokane voters can stomach for the moment, because we're still so chained to our cars. With Spokane Reimagined, the transportation and parks levy I've proposed as an alternative, voters will be able to see another way of operating a city. The people-powered highway, a citywide network of car-free and car-light streets served by a city-owned and operated bike share, would allow the city to densify quickly and quietly, minimizing an increase of cars on our streets, even as we add people. The Earth's temperature is entering uncharted territory, and the Pacific Northwest is going to become a top destination for climate refugees. Spokane can accommodate and should plan to accommodate a population of 1 million people within the current city limits by the end of this century. You don't get there by spending 2 years and a couple $100,000 of taxpayer funds to study a bikeway you've already studied once before. We already know bikeways save lives and increase active transportation everywhere they're built. These zoning changes are a great step, but the next step should be encouraging and incentivizing neighborhood commercial uses along the PPH, allowing each neighborhood to have their own Perry or Garland districts, with a focus on the neighborhood rather than car throughput. That's how you build density. When people are able to get goods and services within walking distance, they aren't trying to leave their neighborhood every time they need to shop or eat. If you review the presentation I sent you last month, you will see that I've already planned for neighborhood input and design for their respective districts. Things like fountains, pavilions, public restrooms, even neighborhood flags will allow neighborhoods to showcase their local flavor, and because it's been approved by voters, we don't have to worry about grumps vetoing improvements. Everyone in town will be walking distance to a fountain, multiple gathering places, a high-quality basketball half-court, and bike share stations, even if they live in a neighborhood not served by the PPH. Due to the nature of suburban-style street layouts, I can't lay out a grid where no grid occurs, but I can still get those facilities everywhere in town. Lastly, I seem to have printed 100 extra copies of the flyer for my proposal, which includes a breakdown of every dollar I propose to raise and spend, and if anyone would like a copy after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Brennan, Boone, Jen Ray, Tracy Blum. Tell me your last name.
Schreibman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council President. My name is Boone Schreibman. I'm the Vice Chair of the Spokane Human Rights Commission. I'm here along with our Chair, Anwar Peace, on behalf of the Commission to express support. Well, the Commission, we're here on behalf of the Commission, and the message, they do not endorse the Crocs. To make sure that it is not lost what a historic, momentous, and significant achievement this is. Most bad policy is all flash, and it is not substance, and that is not the 400 pages of the last Plan Commission's agenda was this policy. It is good policy. That's what good policy looks like. But like good policy, it deals with exactly that. I mean, it is worried about the nitty-gritty of how this is going to work and how to make sure it's effective. And what we want to just make sure is clear is what this does. I mean, this is addressing over a century of the way that, you know, just throughout the development of America, certain people have been marginalized, certain people have been excluded from homeownership through the same tactics of calling it something else. And what planning has done here and what that department has done is, I can't really overstate how important it is, how much courage it took, what a difference it's going to make, and how important it is for everyone in this city. So I just want to commend the Planning Department, and the Human Rights Commission would urge council to celebrate this accomplishment right now. It's an incredible achievement, and there's more work to do, and I just want to appreciate planning for all the hard work they've done putting it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen or Jenny Ray and Tracy Blum, then Todd Bayreuther.
Madam President Kinnear, I'm Jenna Ray, Director of a resident-led initiative in Northeast Spokane called The Zone at the Northeast Community Center, here in support of Ordinance C 36458. Our steering committee, comprised of residents and families in District 1, have affordable housing for larger family sizes as their strategic area of focus this school year. I'm here representing the urgent need to adopt these code changes and free up housing unit construction citywide. Because of the lack of affordable housing options, we have households doubled and tripled up behind a single door, sharing a bathroom, taking turns sleeping on a bed and the floor, no quiet place to do schoolwork. These are the hidden homeless in our city. In fact, last year, 85% of students doubled up in housing did not pass math, so they're not on grade level with the rest of their peers. And that is the same rate as the actual homeless that we can count in shelters and on the street. So they are faring no better academically. 1/3 of the kids in Spokane are unstably housed. Our lack of affordable housing for families will cause multi-generational outcomes, with the forward look being less students graduating from high school. There's research that shows that for each student who does not graduate from high school, it costs our community and economy $292,000. To break the cycle of poverty and dependence on government subsidies, we must provide a system of affordable housing embedded throughout our neighborhoods so that families with school-aged children will have the capacity to look for better jobs, to work more, to go back to school, and further their own household goals instead of focusing on where they're going to sleep tonight. Having trusted adults at school, a peer group to be a part of, and continuous learning, those are all foundational pieces for students to be successful. We lack 3 and 4 bedroom units in our neighborhoods. We have a family, and more than one, in Northeast Spokane with 7 children, 2 adults in a 2-bedroom unit. They choose to stay there because they are near their schools, close to resources, jobs, and relationships in this community. We have other households who are multi-generational. They have elders in their family or extended family staying with them behind the same door. Resident Voice in District 1 is asking that the community think creatively and lead our state in solutions centering families by embedding affordable housing throughout our city. Flexibility could exist in multifamily housing through hotel doors, connecting units for more bedrooms based on demand.
Time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy Blum, Todd Bayreuther, and Michelle Pappas.
Is that person online?
No,
I think we called on
they're
that
in person.
earlier, and she's not here anymore.
Tracy Blum, okay. Todd Bay with, oh, nice to see you again. Hello.
Greetings, Council President and Council. Thank you for the last 8 years. It's been a privilege and honor to serve and advise this council as a plan commissioner. I only have a month left. As you know, the Plan Commission speaks as a whole. In the package in front of you, I voted for it and support it. What was added on by the council after was an amendment regarding the number of stories allowed in residential zones R1 and R2. I'm here to speak to that as an individual. Specifically in footnote 3 of Table 17C 111.205-2, these are development standards, and this is where the footnote is added. In R1 and R2 zone, buildings may not exceed 3 stories as defined by applicable building codes. I'd like to add that you strike that from the package tonight on 2 arguments. One, it lacks technical merit. I'm privileged to also serve on the State Building Code Council. Consideration of number of stories belongs most appropriately in the building, fire, and residential codes. It's a very technical consideration of life safety, building occupancy, construction type, egress, and fire suppression. We're trying to strip those out of our development codes so we don't have conflict. But most importantly, it reduces development feasibility. That's the exact thing we're trying to remove out of our development code. That is the exclusion part that House Bill 1220 2 years ago directly addressed. House Bill 1110 this year said specifically what building types in the middle housing should be allowed. In those, townhomes and stack flats are considerations, and in a 40-foot dimensional standard that is proposed to you, 4 stories is possible and feasible in townhomes. Townhomes with a primary unit, 2 bedrooms, is usually 3 stories. And if we want consideration for a tuck-under garage, or maybe more importantly, a tuck-under ADU, lock-off ADU that allows for revenue to generate these projects, that's important. And stack flats, new state legislation this year mandated the State Building Code Council to develop a single stair typology that can be 4 to 6 stories. And so this 4-story stack flat is very important. So just looking forward, please give that consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Pappas, Mary Lou Johnson, Leona Dater? Yeah, Leona Dater.
Hello, Council. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. My name is Michelle Pappas, and I want to speak today on the Building Opportunity for Housing Municipal Code Changes Phase 2. These changes will create more housing options for Spokane'ites that take advantage of existing infrastructure, sewer, water, solid waste, while helping to prevent urban sprawl. FutureWise is supporting this proposal as part of our Shaping Spokane Together agenda to increase housing affordability in Spokane. We also know that this proposal is just part of a comprehensive effort to address the housing crisis and must go hand in hand with other measures like proactive rental assistance and disability accessible units. These building code changes will promote infill development, connecting new homes in Spokane with transit, parks, school, and jobs. We know that increasing the supply of housing is just part of the solution. The Shaping Spokane Together Coalition is advocating for a comprehensive approach to a housing crisis. You can see our full agenda for housing affordability, and some organizations who have signed on include Mujeres in Action, Planned Parenthood, Locke Engineering, Northwest Fair Housing Alliance, the Hispanic Business Professionals Association, the Carl Maxey Center, Spectrum Center Spokane, Inland Northwest Disability Experience, the Jasmine Group, Peace and Justice Action League of Spokane, and Spokane Rising. Thank you for being in community and organizing together for homes in our city.
Thank you. Mary Lou Johnson, Leona Dater, and Darren Watkins. Mary Lou, you can lower that. There's a button on your right. You can lower the whole thing.
Okay, but actually I was signed up to speak on the GFC, so both
okay.
Leona and I are inappropriately in this section.
Okay, thank you. Leona Dater, Darren Watkins, Paul Troutman. Oh, okay, sorry, Leona. Darren and Paul Troutman and Tia Swanson.
John Watkins with the Spokane Realtors. I'll be brief. We want to really shout out to Spencer Gardner and his staff for doing a phenomenal job and continuing to find not only creative but innovative solutions to trying to to work the edges, to add more housing to our region. And we see this as a good start. Let's remind ourselves that as of the census, we were 25,000 housing units short in the city of Spokane. Since that time, we've added 11,000 new people to our rolls. And unfortunately, so far this year, building permits are actually down. We've had about 2,200, as we heard in the urban committee. We're about 2,200 permits so far this year compared to 3,400 last year. We have a lot of work to do. In 2024, we look forward to helping you on finding new ways to bridge that gap. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Troutman, T.S. Swanson, Dan Swanson.
Just wanted to mention, I was signed up for the GFC, so if you could move me to that list as well,
Okay.
that would be fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Nice seeing you again, too. All right, T.S. Swanson?
I'm also signed up for the GFC.
Gracious. And Dan Swanson as well? Okay. Allegra Armstrong? And then Michelle? And then Ben Stuckert.
Hi, City Council. My name is Allegra Armstrong. I'm a resident of the West Central neighborhood in Spokane. I'm testifying today in support of the Building Opportunity for Housing Phase 2 municipal code changes. I want to ask you all to please vote yes to Ordinance C 36458 and Ordinance C 36459. Studies show that the single biggest factor in predicting rates of homelessness is area housing prices. Spokane rental prices for a one-bedroom apartment have nearly doubled in the 4 years that I've lived in Spokane. The first apartment I lived in here in 2019 cost $675 a month. That same apartment now rents for $1,250 per month. Spokane families can't keep up with these housing prices. The number of people experiencing homelessness keeps going up and will continue to, unless we can add more affordable housing units to Spokane's inventory. These municipal code changes will add housing density to Spokane's downtown and add more transit-accessible housing options to Spokane's rental inventory. They will benefit so many in our community who are looking for more housing choices, as well as benefiting the environment, as walkability and transit-oriented development are more environmentally friendly than car-reliant infrastructure. Encouraging downtown infill will also prevent Spokane's local farmland from being taken over by housing developments and will discourage urban sprawl. Any new units built will rely on existing water and sewer infrastructure instead of passing the price of costly infrastructure expansion projects to taxpayers. These municipal code changes will also allow developers to build more units, keeping Spokane's economy strong. In addition to supporting these municipal code changes, I'm asking City Council to support additional housing measures that will increase affordable housing and prevent displacement. The Shaping Spokane Together Coalition is advocating for a suite of housing measures that will complement the Building Opportunity for Housing agenda, including increasing the number of disability-accessible units, which will help aging and disabled community members to stay in one place rather than needing to move due to a disability or old age. The coalition is also advocating for a proactive rental assistance program, which will help keep Spokane community members housed even when they are facing financial insecurity. A rental assistance program like this is vital when reducing the number of people experiencing homelessness. Please work with the Shaping Spokane Together Coalition to pass these measures as well as the municipal code changes. Thank you.
And next up is Michelle. Oh, thank you. Ben Stuckert, Jonathan Malahan, and Sharon Gajensmo.
I think we're all signed up for the GFCs, but.
Oh, gracious. But don't miss this opportunity to talk.
So can you sign me up for the GFCs though, too,
Yes,
please?
I think you are.
Okay. Oh, I'm on both?
Yes. Yes, you're here.
All right. Well,
But
thank
don't
you.
miss this
And thank
opportunity.
you for your service to the city of Spokane. Thank you all, and thank you, Spencer Gardner, for this ordinance. I do agree with the three-story. It's an inappropriate place for the three-story, that little amendment. And it will limit our housing, and the point of this is housing. But I know this is a lot of stuff, and that's at the very end. This has been an interim ordinance for a full year, and you guys did lead the way for the whole state of Washington. And the planning department worked really hard on this, so thank you so much, because this is a step in the right direction and a huge move for addressing historical wrongs. Thank you.
Jonathan Malhan, are you signed up for GFCs? All right. And Sharon? Sharon. Okay. Is Sharon here? For GFCs as well?
She was signed up for the GFCs. Her disability classes about the phone.
Okay.
So she's gonna have to leave.
Okay, why don't
Can
you
we-
talk about GFCs
Yeah,
right now?
I'll make the motion if we need it.
I'm sorry, what did you
Go
say?
ahead, talk about the GFCs right now.
I'm Sharon Kinsman. I live at Walnut Corners. Years ago, when I became homeless, I went to the other side of the curtain I call normal. Most people, even the kind ones, choose not to see me behind this curtain. With 2.5 years of luck and perseverance, I finally found affordable housing. Now I want to be sure other people behind the curtain, sorry, service animal. Now I find to be sure the other people behind the curtain have a safe, affordable place to call home. 3 cheers for 1590. Please help us make sure these funds are used for affordable housing and not filling budget holes. We encourage you to keep the waiver in place for GFC fees so that more affordable housing can be built for people like me. I ask you also to meet with members of the Spokane Alliance to create a solid plan for how to best use the 1590 funds in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Jill Yates, Tonya Comstock, and Candy Rima. Jill Yates, there you go. Hi.
I'm actually here to speak for the, no, I'm joking, sorry. We had some really powerful testimony and very informative testimony, so I thought I would give you guys a little slice of how these ordinances will affect me and hopefully my neighborhood directly. My name is Jill Yachts. I'm a homeowner in West Central, and I am here this evening to support the permanent code changes addressing the missing middle housing. As a West Central resident, as well as a member of the Spokane Alliance's Housing Equity Action Research Team, I interact with my neighborhood struggles in housing affordability almost every day. However, as one person, I often feel like I can't make much of a positive difference. Most of us can agree that our community needs more housing. These code changes will encourage density by optimizing unused space in the middle of our neighborhoods. They make it easier to build small multifamily homes that will increase the housing supply and help with issues of affordability. Although not the sole solution to this issue, more supply is a critical piece to the puzzle, and now is the time to use all the tools available to make it easier to build homes. I am especially excited about these changes because they are geared towards small developers and homeowners like me. This means that I might be able to do something concrete to help my neighborhood in this struggle. The changes empower the very people who can make a positive, relevant difference in their neighborhoods. They harness the creative problem solving of the people who live there. I, for one, am already daydreaming about how I can leverage the open space on my property to help West Central. And additionally, I want to acknowledge the hard work of the people behind these changes. I know firsthand that their recommendations come from extensive listening to our community and its desires for a broader array of housing. I was on one of their resident forums, and it was not only enlightening, but it was actually pretty fun. I encourage you to pass the code changes this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Tonya Comstock, Candy Rima.
Council members, I think that we need to make more low-income apartments for kids too, that don't live with their parents. There are kids that are outside right now too, and they're looking for places too, and they want to start a family of their own too, right now. And it's hard for them, to get the money for the rent too. And it's hard for them for their schools too, when their families don't help them too. And they need to have someone show them, what to do too. And they don't want to live in apartments that have bugs inside of them too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Candy, Rima? Is it Rima or Rima? Rima.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm excited about the changes that are underway as a local property owner, and the focus on increasing affordable housing here in Spokane. So I'm excited about that. The one thing that I would ask that you consider is that in just a minor edit to table 17C.111.115-1, and that is allowing SROs in R1 and R2. It's currently listed as no. However, I have several lots that I would like to develop allowing SROs. It's for a co-living, rent by the room type, very affordable type of housing situation. I'd like to be able to provide quality housing at an affordable price, but it really doesn't fit into the group living, group housing kind of category and all of the requirements that should be included in that. It really is more of a residential product, and it would be very, very helpful if I were able to develop my properties using the SROs, but my current zoning or my future zoning in this proposed ordinance would preclude me from doing that. So just something to consider, but thank you so much for all the work that you're doing with regards to increasing affordable housing. It's really inspiring to see how Spokane has led the way in Washington State. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, actually, it's just gentlemen. I'm sorry, council member. Council commentary. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Just really glad to get this finally to where it is. This has been a long time coming. Kind of the idea originated as we were putting our housing action plan together 3 years ago or so, and thankfully from that point it's evolved to where it is now. But really this is going to help us to continue to address our supply issues, which does directly affect affordability, choice, just the ability for folks to find a place to live within our community. And so I'm really excited about it, but it's also introducing a lot of, I think, some hopefully promising aspects to it. A big thing I've been a big advocate for is laneway housing, and the ability to subdivide lots now really gives us that opportunity to maybe explore laneway housing, which is alleyway housing, which not only has the effect of providing more housing, but it also means less traffic on the streets and more eyes on our alleyways, which is a conduit sometimes for some of the criminal activity. So it's a real positive way to improve our neighborhoods, I believe. It's also something that's going to help to continue expanding homeownership opportunities. We know that especially within our minority communities, there is a serious lack of homeownership. And so the ability for us to create more opportunities to access homeownership that's affordable and reachable to a lot more people is just so critical that I'm really glad. That's one of the best parts, I think, of BOCA, or BOH as we're now calling it, is to increase those opportunities. And it also, as was kind of alluded to by one commentator earlier, it does start helping us to kind of rewind some of the redlining that occurred over history. And that has obviously created a lot of things that we can probably never truly fix, but we can do our best to roll back that clock and create some flexibility there. And then the last thing I'll just say, on the three-story idea, I was against that amendment, and I had considered bringing a kind of a further tweak to it, but there just didn't seem to be a burning desire for that change. But if we do see a lot of input from folks that the flexibility necessary for 4 stories, then we should definitely look at that and bring that back. And so, and on the SRO, just would encourage you to talk to Spencer and see if there isn't a way that we can look at that in the future. But happy to support.
Okay, that's you being short. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Anyone else? Go ahead.
All right, so, yeah, also again, ton of thanks to Spencer, Tim, Casey, everybody who's working on this. I mean, it's a lot of work that you guys did with your community outreach, reaching out to a bunch of different groups and stakeholders. You guys did a fantastic job. I'm really proud of you and all the work that you did. I think we're at a really exciting place for housing in Spokane because there's such an alignment that's starting to come together from a bunch of different groups that maybe don't agree on really anything else, but on housing, we're sort of together when you're thinking about developers and property rights advocates and environmentalists and advocates for the poor and the homeless, taxpayers, small business owners. I mean, you name it, there's like a real alignment on housing and neighborhood walkability and this entire idea of making our communities smaller and more accessible. And that's one of the reasons why we passed our home occupation resolution last year, which was to, again, explore the neighborhood of home occupations and neighborhood retail and different things like that, to where you could walk down and see a corner store. You could walk down, there's a bakery down your street. All these different things to make your community smaller and more accessible. That's one of the reasons why Councilmember Zappone and I championed, the removal of parking requirements, within a half mile at transit. And actually, next week, we're going to be considering an ordinance to change some zoning that's going to put 96 units in at Gonzaga, and because of the uniqueness of dorms, they're only going to have 13 parking spaces because you're going to have a very walkable environment there. And so I'm excited for the future of housing in the city of Spokane because there is so much alignment on this issue. And the one thing that I really want to drive home in the things that we're doing is I'm worried that we are lacking some home ownership results that we're looking for. We are making housing more affordable. But what we really also want to make sure we're incentivizing is people being able to transition from renter into homeowner, because that's how you're starting to build generational wealth. That's how you start to build wealth that you can pass on to your children, or the equity that you can use to start a business, or those kinds of things. And so as we're moving forward, for all the advocates that are here, let's make sure that that remains top of mind for us, because again, when you're looking even at ownership rates between white people and black people, you see huge disparities. And so how do we help people transition again from owner into renter is going to be a big deal for us as a council. And I'm just proud of the work that we're doing. And really the work we're doing is just approving the work that you guys are doing. And so thank you so much for all of that.
Who's next? Go ahead.
As someone who has worked with many of the providers who spoke today in the past, I just so appreciate that this work has been done. I know when it comes to the homelessness crisis that we face, one of the most important things we can do is build affordable housing. So let's build some homes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Zappone.
I'm super supportive of this, super excited. After hearing from this broad coalition of people, that's what I first want to remark, is just this broad coalition of people who you wouldn't always expect to work together, all coming together and supporting this. And I think that's quite remarkable for our community and an example for the state. But from hearing from them, I did really pick up on the difference of the 3 stories versus 4 stories, and heard several people talking about that could be limiting units, limiting opportunity for housing. And so I was just looking to others to see if there was interest in potentially changing that. I'm
very interested.
I believe it's pretty minor to change it, revert back to it.
We should hear from Spencer Gardner before. And I would suggest that you can make that change later when you get more input from not just 1 or 2 people here, but some other folks in the community. This is all of a sudden, boom, we're going to go from 3 to 4. It'd be nice to get some more input from others as well. Spencer, there you go.
So essentially what you would be doing is reverting back to the version before the substitute that was approved, I think it was last week. So it's a very minor change. You're just removing the footnote from the table.
What's the actual reality of 40 feet 4 stories, remember, you know, we have to have some room for utilities and so forth. So what are we really talking about? So the 40 includes like a peaked roof? You'd almost have to have a flat roof to make the 4 stories work, right?
Yeah, I think it would be somewhat limited in terms of where it could actually apply. I mean, I think that argument cuts both ways. It's probably not a substantial change in the sense that whether you allow the 4 stories or limit it to the 3 stories, it's really only probably having an impact on the margins.
And could this happen after we pass this?
So our plan was, with the ordinance as it's currently in the packet, is that we would include that, a review of that in our this coming year. We expect to be keeping an eye on the impacts to the market, looking at what kinds of things are built. And if we're hearing that that's an issue, then we would revisit it. So, I mean, if it were removed tonight, we would probably still continue to monitor and see if it's something that we need to adjust further or limit because of impacts or things like that.
Okay. Any questions for Spencer?
Just a question on that process to do it in the future. So it'd have to go through Plan Commission again in the future?
Correct. Yep. It would go through our regular, process. We expect that there will be some changes just as we learn more and get more feedback. So this would be probably included as a package of changes in the coming year.
And someone also mentioned SROs, which are so underutilized when we look at Spokane. Downtown was full of SROs back in the day. And that is a community living situation that many people would like to partake in. But again, that's something that you should revisit as well. I think.
That's on the list.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But for this change specifically, we wouldn't necessarily need to take this back to the Plan Commission. We can make this change, I think.
An
on our
amendment
own.
tonight would not go back to Plan Commission.
But even if we amended it down the road, you believe we would have to go back to Plan Commission? Even though they've reviewed it and.
If it's adopted tonight in its current form and then there's a desire to change it, it would have to go through the full process again, where it goes to Plan Commission and then comes before council, because at that point it would be a new ordinance.
Which isn't a bad thing, because it goes through a process.
And it has already gone through the process and came out of the process
The
as
version-
4, is that correct?
Correct. So the version that originally came to council was recommended for approval by Plan Commission and did not include the footnote that limits to 3 stories.
Which is why I don't think it should have to go back to Plan Commission.
So, well, if the change were made tonight, then it would not have to go back to Plan Commission. But again, because it's a different ordinance, it's essentially a different thing.
Go ahead.
If we were to make a motion tonight, would you support it?
No.
Okay.
And I guess my question that is, or not question, my point to it is, this is something that has gone through the whole process. Your concern is about it going through the process, and it went through the full outreach and went through every community stakeholder group. We had many stakeholders come specifically talk about that issue. So I think that we could add it back because there's a lot of, it's gone through that process. You said we were missing people's
It's not
perspectives on
reliant
it.
on me to pass it.
No.
If you want to put it on, make a motion to add it.
Well, we'd have to first suspend the rules and
Yes.
then can add it. And for suspending the rules, 2/3 of 6 would be 4 votes.
Yes.
tonight.
Majority plus 1. 4 plus 1, 5.
To suspend the
Oh,
rules. Fine.
yeah.
You've got
That's fine.
5.
You still need 5.
I mean, I'll make a motion, might as well try.
So are we
So I-
going to make a motion then to suspend the rules and then amend?
Yes.
Yes, I'm making that motion to do that.
Second.
Discussion? Oh, we're just suspending the rules. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes M&A. Go ahead.
I would need help with that language.
Council President?
Yes.
I was a no as well
Oh,
on that.
okay.
So
So
actually,
there's
it
2.
fails.
Yeah. So, but I do want to discuss this, if we could, even on the motion. So,
Discuss which part?
the whole motion, the whole idea, the whole amendment.
Okay.
Because I know that's where we're going, but obviously, if the rules don't get suspended, it doesn't happen. I totally agree with this change. I totally think that it's the right thing to do. But also, again, I think there is a process that we could go through after this to make it happen, to make sure that, again, this is something that goes through the process, so.
I guess I would disagree. I mean, it went through that process already. The recommendation through that process was the original that we amended. So I understand, we can send it back and they can just kind of do it again, but I think they'll come back with the same recommendation. It's just sort of buying time.
Did you want to say something? No.
No.
All right.
I just want to say, I was like, are you going to be mad at us if we pass it?
No.
That's the question, is like, if we were to pass this, are you going to be mad?
No, and when have you ever been worried if I was going to be mad?
I'm not. Council member Bidwell?
I'm not worried about it at all.
No. Councilmember Stratton, do you have anything to say? I can't hear her.
Talking about the amendment to remove the 4-story, correct?
To add 4 stories
To
and
add
remove
4
the
stories.
3-story
It's now at
amendment.
3, to add, go up to 4. It's 40 feet regardless. 40 feet regardless, but we said, or it is in our packet, 3 stories. This amendment would increase it to 4.
I just think if we can make it easier on this end, I would support it. I mean, I think we're gonna end up in the same place that we are right now, is that they're gonna really have to look at the requests that are coming in for that and the, what the data shows, but I don't see a problem. Let's amend it now so it doesn't have to jump through any hoops down the road. That's my thought.
Okay.
I make a motion to suspend the rules for these purposes.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of
Aye.
suspending
Aye.
the rules? All right,
Aye.
nay. All right, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes. Go ahead.
Spencer, how do we make the language on it?
I don't know the table number. Casey, you could probably look it up. It's a footnote in a table, so it's essentially just striking the footnote.
Could we just revert to the previous version? Or were there other changes?
No.
So the change that was approved was just the footnote, but it would be striking footnote 3 of table 17C.111.205-2, and preferably also renumbering the remaining footnotes so they're in sequential order after the strike.
So moved. Second. Does that work?
And just one quick question on my end, isn't that the plan commission person stood up? They would support this as well, correct?
Todd?
Yes, one of them would. We only heard from one.
Yeah, he was speaking as just a private citizen, not on behalf of Plan
Okay,
Commission.
right.
Yeah.
He mentioned
sorry,
that in his
gotcha.
testimony.
But the plan commission did already support it.
But what you're reverting to is the version that Plan Commission recommended. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Any nays?
Aye.
All right, I get to be the sole nay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you,
I'm
Council
not
President.
mad. Now, we need to go ahead and vote on this, so can I have a motion to accept with the change?
So moved?
Second?
Or second?
I'm sorry, I was.
So motion? Don't we
Well-
just need a vote?
I think you can just vote.
I think we just vote.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, I see
Vote
what
is
you're
amended,
saying.
yeah.
Okay, prepare to vote.
And maybe we should have clarified, are you taking those together?
Yes, we are taking this together.
That was our
Great.
intent.
Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Passes. See, that wasn't so hard.
And unanimous.
All right.
Do we need a break?
Hey, Terry?
Oh, my God.
Yes, and we're going to take GFCs together as well. Councilmember Cathcart has asked him to do that. So Terry, could you read special considerations, please?
S1, final reading ordinance C-36-461 relating to general facilities charges, GFCs, for public utilities and services, amending Spokane Municipal Code sections 13.03, .0730, .0732, and .0734 to chapter 13.03 of the Spokane Municipal Code, and 13.04, .2040, .2042, and .2044 to chapter 13.04 of the Spokane Municipal Code, and setting an effective date. S2, Resolution 2023-97 regarding adoption of the City of Spokane's public rule for wastewater and water general facilities charges and incentives.
Great. We have quite a few people signed up. So if you would come down in threes, that would be great. First is Ben Stuckert, Jeff DeBray, and John Alder.
I don't know how you guys stay up this late every Monday night. I commend you. I can't believe I did that for 190 meetings. Thank you so much for your time tonight. GFCs are super complicated. I've been presented to, I think, like 7 or 8 times on this issue. Super complicated issue. I appreciate you guys have come, and I think, if my understanding is correctly, there's a 100% waiver that was adopted at 3:30 today. So I'm here representing the Spokane Low-Income Housing Consortium and the Spokane Alliance. We represent over 60 organizations, 25,000 plus members of those 60 organizations. And you're going to hear stories tonight, but I think it's important. I know you adopted the right version at 3:30, a great version, but I think hearing the stories and continuing to reiterate how important low-income housing is to solving our housing crisis and for a livable city is. You're going to hear 3 messages throughout. The first message is that we need a 100% waiver because low-income housing is different than market rate housing, and our rents are set by the federal government and the state government on what levels. So if our costs go up, then we have to raise more money. The second thing is 1590, which this council passed in 2020, and we thank you for that. When that passed, though, that was to provide gap funding for projects because federal and state dollars require gap funding. And so if that goes to backfill these GFCs because you're waiving them, then that means less projects and more people homeless on our streets and more people that get priced out of their housing. And the third thing is we came en masse, the Alliance and SLIC, last year during the budget season because 1590 was threatened. And so I know we've said this all personally to each of you, but we really want to work on a sustainable way to deal with 1590 so that every budget season, somebody's not trying to use it for different reasons. So we really want to start meeting in January on that. Thank you for your service to the community.
Thank you. Jeff DeBray, John Alder, Andrew Rolls.
Good evening. My name is Jeff DeBray. I'm the Eastern Washington Director with Fuse Washington, a state organization fighting for issues from access to health care to immigrant rights and affordable housing across the state and here in Spokane. I'm joined tonight with the Spokane Alliance, SLIC, and community in support of 1590 and the GFC waiver, a critical fund for affordable housing. As you know, over the past 5 years, rent in Spokane has increased by nearly 50%, and our community has felt the pressure. While rents continue to skyrocket, incomes for residents have not kept up. As recently as 2020, nearly 3,000 kids in Spokane County had experienced homelessness, and that is unacceptable. We can and must do better, and 1590 is a part of doing just that. As a community member, affordable housing matters to me personally because of the friends and neighbors I've known who are housing insecure, students I've mentored, and members I've organized who deserve the peace of mind of affordable housing now and in the future. Tonight, you'll see Fuse Washington, the Spokane Alliance, and the Spokane Low-Income Housing Consortium, plus 25 plus community members here to ask for 3 things. The first is 100% GFC waiver. The second is that 1590 funds not be used for the GFC waiver, and we continue to invest in critical affordable housing needs. And the third is a meeting in January to protect 1590 for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. John Alder, Andrew Rolls, and Amy Manning.
John Alder, I'm here on behalf of Tenants Union Resident Action Project and the Alliance Heart Team you see behind me. First, who's getting these funds? There's rumors that 1590 funds are going to be used for something other than housing. I remember we voted for 1590 to be used for low-income apartments that people on fixed income, homeless people could transition into. Just look at the STA, the library, and homeless shelters. You know, there's many people needing the funding directly for housing to spend, but it shouldn't be spent on anything else. Let's keep our hands off of 1590 and use it for housing first. And I echo what the other gentlemen say. Don't use it for the GFC waiver, and also they do want to have a meeting in January to make sure it is used for housing only.
Thank you. Andrew. Then Amy Manning and Katie Shedlock.
Well, Council President, members of council, good evening. I'm Andrew Rawls with the Downtown Spokane Partnership. To follow up on comments I made last week on general facilities charges, number one, thank you for your consideration of a phase-in period. Please do pass the ordinance with a 3-year phase-in as proposed. Number two, fee carve-out for downtown remains absolutely essential because of its proximity to downtown's water, the city's water sources, and to its water and wastewater infrastructure. You don't need pumps and extensive new pipe networks to push water to new development in downtown. When existing water and wastewater infrastructure needs replacement, the replacement costs are covered by property owners and tenants' utility bills. Number three, if you do intend to pass a fee structure which includes downtown, we support inclusion of a policy that makes the meter capacity equivalent calculation method available to downtown developers. Although the ERU fee calculation method is preferred by suburban neighborhood developers, it appears that office to residential conversions would benefit from the cost savings of the use of the MCE method. And number four, regarding the offsets resolution, we appreciate your consideration of adding 12 and 20-year MFTE projects to the eligibility list. For that incentive concept, I understand, however, that due to state regulations, offsets for MFTE can't be funded. As you do bring forward incentive packages in the future, please do consider inclusion of MFTE as an eligible category. Thank you, Council President, Council Member Bingle, and to everyone that spent time over the past several weeks refining these policies. With a 3-year phase-in and use of MCEs in downtown, you've moved GFC policy in the direction of cost containment, which is meaningful to our members. Ultimately, the lower taxes and fees are, and the fewer in number regulations are, the more housing is built. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Manning, Katie Shedlock, and Amy Brooks.
Hi. Thank you, City Council, for working on GFCs and for voting for 1590. My name is Amy Manning, and I work for the Spokane Low-Income Housing Consortium, and I'm a person who experienced homelessness and housing insecurity as a child and as a young adult. So I stand here with vested interest in having housing for our community and the folks that are experiencing homelessness. We are in a housing crisis, and we need to be thinking about how much housing we can build and what kinds of housing can be built. And so I'm here to ask you to waive GFCs for affordable housing and to not use 1590 funds to pay for those. There are other sources, and folks at SLIC and at the Spokane Alliance have already been starting to look at the other sources of funding that we could do. And so we have some ideas. We understand that there's more complicated issues around the budget and that you are looking at budget challenges, to say the least, over the next year. I just want to say that in my 20 years working in housing and homeless services, this is a peak moment where what we do right now is going to define how our community looks and who counts, and we're missing people, and we're missing more and more people. And this is a moment where we're doing these great policies that are putting Spokane ahead. But if we do not do this right now, we're gonna lose that momentum and those good policies that we were just talking about before. So thank you, and 100% fee waiver for affordable housing. And we do hope that you will meet with Spokane Low-Income Housing Consortium and the Spokane Alliance on how to leverage those $1590 so that we can build the most affordable housing possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie Shedlock, Amy Brooks, and Carolyn Holmes.
Hello, my name is Katie Shedlock, and I live and work in West Central. I'm part of the Spokane Alliance through the West Central Abbey, an Episcopal church, where I am the primary pastor. I'm here to ask you to support two critical tools for building affordable housing: the 100% GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. Affordable housing matters to me because for the last 5 years, I've lived and worked in West Central, a neighborhood where in 2018, my husband and I could afford to buy a house. We would not be able to afford to buy that same house today. For the last 5 years, I've helped lead a church community that offers one hot meal a week to our homeless and low-income neighbors on Wednesday nights. I absolutely believe that feeding people is necessary and vital, and I am proud of my small, scrappy congregation and our commitment to serving our neighbors. Everyone deserves to survive on their worst days, and I know our meal has helped keep people alive who were living on the streets. But I'm here tonight because my congregation does not have the tools on our own to create more affordable housing in our community. I'm here tonight because this council does have the tools. You have the tools to stimulate the development of the affordable housing that our city desperately needs. My congregation was part of the campaign to establish the 1590 levy in 2020, and we were part of the campaign to defend those funds last year, and we are here again tonight because the only solution to our housing crisis is to use every single tool we have, some of which only you have the authority to pick up and put to use. And that's why we are asking for 3 things to protect affordable housing tonight: a 100% GFC waiver on affordable housing developments, that 1590 funds not be used to pay for those GFC waivers, and for a meeting in January to protect 1590 funds in the future. But I want you to know that we are not coming to this work empty-handed. We at the Spokane Alliance are coming with our tools in hand, tools like our consistent engagement on housing issues, our relationships across the community, and our commitment to the common good. Please use your tools to protect the development of affordable housing tonight, and then let's work together with our tools in 2024 to build the housing that our city needs. Because after all, keeping people alive on their worst days only makes sense if we are actually building a better future together, one in which everyone has a place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Brooks, Carolyn Holmes, and Mary Lou Johnson.
Hi, my name's Amy Brooks, and I live in the West Central neighborhood. I'm a part of the Spokane Alliance through the West Central Abbey, and I'm here to ask you to support 2 critical streams of funding for affordable housing: the 100% GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. I come to the table with this issue because I moved here in the summer of 2022 from a state where people make significantly less money overall, where the minimum wage is very low. And I believe that one of the only reasons I was able to move here is because I had a partner who was able to seek housing full-time in that transitory period in between living there and moving here. He continually applied, and there would be 30, 40 applications for housing that was in our budget. As I moved here, I was shocked by the houselessness that I experienced in Spokane, seeing people on the streets downtown and in my own neighborhood of West Central. I am very concerned for the lack of resources here and for the unhoused people living in my neighborhood and beyond. And so as we, as a community, move forward towards more equitable housing for all, I would like to echo the 3 statements made by the previous speakers, that we support a 100% GFC waiver, that 1590 funds not be used to pay for the GFC waivers, and for the meeting in January to protect funds for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Holmes, Mary Lou Johnson, Leona Dater.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Carolyn Holmes. I live in Kendall Yards of West Central. I'm part of the Spokane Alliance through member organizations Fuse, West Central Development Project, and the Episcopal Diocese of Spokane. Affordable housing matters to me, partially because of my faith commitment to the dignity and worth of everybody. And I believe that shelter, being housed, is the beginning of that for all of us. And we've all seen throughout our city the need of people who are without that very basic need. I'm here too, echoing the previous speakers, to ask you to support 2 critical streams of funding for affordable housing: the GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. We're asking too, the 3 things we're asking for are 100% GFC waiver, that 1590 funds not be used to pay for the GFC waivers, and to be able to continue to meet with you in January to protect those funds for future housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Lou Johnson, Leona Dater, and Darren Watkins.
Thank you, Council President Kinnear and council members. My name is Mary Lou Johnson. I live in the Lincoln Heights neighborhood. I'm here as the president of the Spokane Alliance to ask you to support the GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. The Spokane Alliance represents 36 member organizations that include faith communities, labor, and different community groups, which is well over 20,000 individuals from throughout the city. We organize for the common good and feel strongly that affordable housing is a public good that should be publicly funded. This is the third time, as several speakers have mentioned, that the Spokane Alliance and its partners have come to urge you to support affordable housing. We came to support the city's adoption of 1590, and then last year to prevent those 1590 funds from being diverted. And we thank the council for your past decisions to really protect those funds so that our affordable housing crisis can begin to be addressed as quickly as possible. I have been very privileged. I've never been unhoused or had to deal with the cascading and devastating issues associated with not having an affordable, stable, and safe house. We know that housing is a social determinant of health, and we know that being unhoused has very serious health consequences. I encourage you to take into account the stories of our community members and neighbors who have not been as lucky as me and maybe you. The Spokane Alliance, as you have heard with our partners, are supporting three things, and I'll repeat them because our messaging is important. We encourage you, and hopefully it sounds like you will approve the 100% GFC waiver. We want to protect the 1590 funds and not have that backfill the GFC waivers. And we are very excited to meet with you and to continue to plan for how we can move affordable housing forward using the 1590 funds for affordable housing. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Leona Dater, Darren Watkins, Paul Troutman.
She said, I agree. I agree.
I agree. Oh, good. I'm glad you agree. Okay. Darren Watkins.
Hello again, Darren Watkins, Spokane Realtors. We've been through so many meetings. I think a bunch of us have said jokingly we should have T-shirts now that says we're part of the GFC committee. I want to just say that at this point, we want to strongly support both of the amendments that you have before you. As a primary supporter of 1590, realtors stand with the affordable housing providers. After all, this is something we have a long history for in the city of Spokane in providing these waivers for affordable housing process. Second of all, though, there's the phase-in one, which hasn't been talked about yet. This not only is a more fair way to collect fees, but it actually has a better legal standard. As you maybe remember, we provided you with the legal brief last August. GFCs can often be very contentious in the courts. And as you know, this meets that standard. And so we would encourage passage of both of the amendments. And thank you for your work on that.
Paul Troutman. And then Tia Swanson and Mary Dombrowski.
Good evening. Thank you to council for your resilience. A long night. I appreciate the opportunity to address you about 1590. I have been in the audience and was spending time tallying my time in affordable housing, which is approaching 30 years, which is a bit of a shocker to me. But in that time in Spokane, there have been three things that have been consistent throughout that entire period. One is the lack of affordable housing. It's something that we know. It's the reason we're here, and it's apparent in council's consideration of this issue here. The second item is costs, which we know everything gets more expensive over time, and that has definitely been the case with affordable housing. Housing in general over the last few years, materials, labors, land, everything, financing, all costs have gone just screamingly up. So I appreciate the consideration of a 100% waiver on that, because that would be just an additional substantial cost on affordable housing projects and damaging our ability to produce those. The third thing is, of course, available funding, which is in very limited supply. And I want to address 1590 here is really, I mean, the magical unicorn of funding. It's spectacular. I spent so much of my career here in the city administering the home program, and earlier today I heard about an additional $4 million coming into the community, which is fantastic. I also know that the home program, that's someone else's money. It's difficult because it has all these priorities. It's someone else's money, someone else's priorities. You're within their confines of what they will or will not provide that funding to. 1590 is local money, local priorities, local choices, and what we want to support and provide those dollars to. So I would encourage you to leave that money as flexible and available for affordable housing. I'm the development manager for the Spokane Housing Authority. That's my current role. I love it. I'm able to produce the housing that I had funded in the past, and we have a new project we're bringing to the Lower South Hills. It's Haifumi N, 88 new units of a senior affordable housing. In that project, there's great examples. One, we're benefiting from the parking waiver. Fantastic. I mean, that really is making a difference. Something else that makes a difference is flexible funding. We have quite a bit of funding into the project that's your traditional, thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that. It focuses on, for fiscal responsibility within the confines of a parcel, you can spend your money on the construction, which is substantial costs, and we need those funds to do that work. But to get permitted, to get my certificate of occupancy, to fill those units, new units with new low-income renters, I have to complete the entire project. One of those requirements is half a stone throw away across the street, I need to put in a curb cut for wheelchair access to improve that wheelchair route. Makes a lot of sense, but all those other traditional funding sources say no. That's outside, that's off-site, you can't do it. I fortunately have those flexible dollars. My project will be successful. I'm going to have 88 units filled up, and those are much needed. So please reserve those dollars. So thank you for your help on the GFC, and please keep those $1590 affordable.
Thank you, Paul. And Tia Swanson, Mary Dombrowski, and Dan Swanson.
Good late evening to you. My name is Tia Swanson, and I live in South Indian Trail, Balboa neighborhood, and I'm a member of West Central Abbey. So here goes the echo again of I'm here to ask you to support two critical sources of funding for affordable housing, and that is the GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. Affordable housing matters to me because of my personal experience volunteering at West Central Abbey's community table. Every Wednesday, a dinner meal is prepared for the homeless or displaced folks. Several weeks ago, during a cold snap, a woman came into the Commons building with plastic bags wrapped around her feet and over her shoulders. She was trying to stay warm and dry. She said it was getting cold outside and people were losing their toes and fingers to the frostbite. This woman, like many who walk through the doors of the Abbey, need a place to call home, a place out of the cold with a warm meal to eat. Let's remember those that are in need. And again, here comes that echo. Please, we're asking that 100%, which I understand you voted for, of the 1590 funds not be used to pay for the GFC waivers. And why don't we all let's get together in January to protect sustainable 1590 funds for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Dombrowski and Dan Swanson, and then Hannah Nelson.
Hi, Council. My name is Mary Dombrowski. I, too, am a resident of the West Central neighborhood. I work for a nonprofit as a food justice advocate, and it has become apparent through our work supporting robust anti-poverty measures that equitable housing is emerging as one of the human rights policy issues of our generation. As a city, we must ensure that we are maximizing our available resources to support low-income and affordable housing. I thank the council for helping to make this possible by supporting a 100% GFC fee waiver. Additionally, I ask you to use funding other than 1590 revenue to cover the cost of these waivers so that 1590 funds may be more robustly applied towards low-income housing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dan Swanson, Hannah Nelson, and Michelle Gardot.
Well, good evening. I'm Dan Swanson from the South Indian Trail neighborhood. I'm part of the Spokane Alliance through the West Central Abbey. A young man I know in his later 30s works downtown with a decent job and benefits. He likes his work and he loves Spokane. He has a son for whom he pays child support and after-school daycare. After these costs, he cannot afford to pay rent to live on his own. So he lives with his parents. He feels down and depressed about this and despairs that he will ever be able to afford a place on his own. He wonders if the American dream is attainable in today's world in Spokane. And his story is not unique. A woman I met recently shares an apartment that costs about $900, which is really good. She feels fortunate that she found a place at this cost. Both she and her roommate work, but they worry that their rent will be raised and they will be forced to find a new place and move out. This is not a wonderful neighborhood either. We all know that for every person we see on the streets, there are dozens of others who are clinging, desperately hanging on to not join their ranks. The purpose of 1590 funds is to support the construction of low-income housing. Any increase in housing helps reduce the pressure on rental increases. 1590 funds should not be rated to pay for the GFC costs. Those costs should be 100% waived going forward. And looking forward, we hope to meet with you in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you. Hannah and Michelle, and then Ben Stucker.
You can send it twice.
Oh, let Ben cancel that.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Nelson, and I'm here tonight with the Spokane Alliance as a member of HEART, the Housing Equity Action Research Team. I live and work in West Central, so as you can imagine, I have seen firsthand the affordable housing options for various neighbors, friends, and family members all but disappear. I've watched as some of my most vulnerable neighbors have been pushed out of the neighborhood by rising housing costs. I've even seen loved ones struggle to find safe, affordable housing in Spokane, even while balancing multiple jobs. Sorry, I lost my place. So this is why it's so important that the funding for affordable housing from 1590 not be diverted to the GFC waivers. As we heard, it's an important piece of the puzzle for paying for affordable housing in Spokane. I think I heard the word magical unicorn to describe it a second ago. But I'm also not downplaying the need for GFC waivers to be funded, not at all. Those still need to be 100% funded, and I thank you all for making that change. The need for affordable housing is so great. We can't afford to divert funds from 1590 from their intended use as they're being used right now. And I'm getting deja vu. I don't know if this feels familiar, but I did testify here about a year ago asking that 1590 funds not be used just to fill holes in the next year's budget. And so that's why we're calling on City Council to meet with us to talk about creating safeguards for 1590 so that this won't become an annual event. It feels a little bit like a holiday tradition that we don't really need. So again, I'd like to ask that 1590 funds be used for their intended purpose as they are now, that GFC waivers be 100% funded, and that we get to see you in January. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, Jonathan Malhan, and April Box.
Hello, my name is Michelle Gerardo.
and I serve as a SLIC board member and the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Spokane. I want to thank you for your service and hard work in navigating such complex issues. I'm also here to urge your support for two critical mechanisms that allow affordable home ownership to continue in Spokane: the GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. Affordable housing matters to me because I've seen how transformative a safe, decent, and affordable home can be in a Spokane family's life. Earlier this year, Nathan, a medically retired Air Force vet, his wife Jessica, and their two young kiddos purchased and moved into their Habitat home in East Central. They earn about 49% of the area median income, or $42,000 annually. And like many Habitat families, Nathan had a critical need for a safe, decent, affordable, and ADA accessible home for his family. However, the vacancy rate for low-income housing is so out of control, let alone homes that comply with ADA. Rising construction material and labor costs have doubled home prices in just the last few years, and you won't find Habitat homes with granite or sprawling water usage. Habitat homeowners pay an affordable mortgage, and each home is permanently affordable. Had the waiver not been in place, Nathan and his family would have been priced out. It's simple as that. The use of these tools is crucial to the success of families like Nathan's. I want to urge your support again for the following. Please adopt the version of the 100% waiver for low-income housing. Please do not use $1590 to backfill the gap. It only creates another gap for organizations like Habitat. And commit to meeting with us in January. Let's do this right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Jonathan Malahan, April Box, and Jill Yotz.
Good evening, Council President Kinnear, members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to share some comments tonight. I'm Jonathan Malahan. I'm the Chief Housing Officer for Catholic Charities of Eastern Washington. We provide over 3,000 units of affordable housing in Eastern Washington, 2,000 of which are here in Spokane. The GFC waiver is a critical component of benefit for developing affordable housing in Spokane. If we were to implement the GFC charge increases, that would represent a 5 to 8% increase in the cost of developing the average affordable housing unit in Spokane. It's not the right time to increase the costs of developing and delivering affordable housing to our community. In addition to the GFC waiver being at 100%, 1590 funds, as Paul noted, are really critical local dollars. It is a bad investment to use 1590 funds to offset GFC fees. Those funds committed to an affordable housing project are leveraged at a ratio of 1 to 10. So we can deliver $10 that aren't Spokane dollars to build affordable housing if those 1590 funds are committed to our projects. I'll leave it there. You've had a long night. Thank you very much, and please do consider those two funds. Look forward to working with you to solve for this problem in the early next year.
Thank you. April Box, Jill Yotz, Stephanie Rosso.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to all of us. My name is April Box, and I also live in the West Central neighborhood. I'm part of the Spokane Alliance through the West Central Abbey, and I'm here to ask you to support the two critical streams of funding for affordable housing, the GFC waiver and the local 1590 funds. Affordable housing matters to me because I've been negatively impacted by the lack of affordable housing in Spokane. Last year, I needed to move very quickly, and I started looking for apartments, and I found that they were all at least $1,000. I did look at one that was about $900, and when I stepped into the building, the floor went down, and I just walked right out. So that was what I had to pay. Before that, I'd been paying $750. I'm very fortunate that I can increase the amount of income I take from my retirement funds, but they're not limitless. And between inflation and this new price of housing, I have less funds to live for the rest of my life. I've been part of the organizing effort to get affordable housing for my neighbors in Spokane. I was part of the 1590 work, actually met with a couple of council members at their offices. And I believe affordable housing is a public good for our community and should be publicly funded. I also attend that dinner table that was talked about earlier, and I know a young couple who comes there every week, and they help set up, and we give them a small stipend for that. We give them gift cards, because we can't really pay them. And they come to dinner table every week, and they're wonderful people, and the young woman was very adamant in making sure that you guys make sure that she can have a house, because she's homeless right now. She and her boyfriend are homeless, so they would like a place to live. So I'm going to go along with the party line like everybody else. I'm asking for 3 things to protect affordable housing: the 100% GFC waiver, that 590 funds not be used to pay for the GFC waivers, and for a meeting in January to protect 1590 funds in the future. I'd love to come see your offices again, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Jill Yates, Stephanie Rosso, and Daniel Roberts.
Is this going to count against my time?
Nope.
All right. Hello, my name is Jill Yates. I'm a West Central resident, and I'm part of the Spokane Alliance through the Housing Equity Action Research Team, or HART. And I first want to thank you for the prior work that the council has done in passing 1590 to help fund affordable housing. We wouldn't be here tonight if it hadn't been initially passed. And this is my first time speaking to it, but I have watched all of the city council meetings, including the 4-hour one last year. So I'm a really big fan of 1590. I just want to put that plug in there. And strides like this are meaningful to me because, like other people in this room, I carry the trauma of housing insecurity as well. I first actually experienced true housing stability here in Spokane from a benevolent landlord, and then when I managed to buy a dilapidated cottage in West Central. I could only afford it because it was at the point of unlivable. And now that I've painstakingly rehabilitated it to livable standards, and I want to emphasize rehabbed, not remodeled, I have a home base that I can always return to and modest equity to fall back on in times of difficulty. I cannot adequately describe the sense of relief and security I feel. I didn't expect to feel that. And from this foundation, I can focus on thriving and not just surviving. And I want my entire community to experience this same sense of stability. There is a saying in airplane safety presentations, put the oxygen mask on yourself before helping others. My thriving, as opposed to just surviving, means that I have the bandwidth to help my neighbors work towards this goal too. I participate in multiple organizations, several of which are in this room tonight. I've actually managed to swap houses with a neighbor to keep housing costs affordable on our block. And I've even found my way into the professional arena of affordable development. Without a solid foundation, I could not help my community. When each of us is lifted up, we all do better. Choosing the easy path rather than choosing the right path has long-term negative consequences for all of us. In the cases of limiting GFC waivers and backfilling them with 1590 funds, those consequences will be, at the least, fewer homes built in our community at a time when we need them the most. I appreciate that the city is trying to balance the needs of affordable housing and its goals to have sustainable water and sewer systems. But there are other ways to achieve that balance without robbing the community of a flexible and limited resource. And there are people in this room who can help you figure that out. I am one person, and no matter how hard I try, I can't do very much to help this city that I love. But you can. So please keep those 100% GFC waivers. Don't backfill them with 1590 funds. And please set up a meeting with us to discuss in January. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie and Daniel Roberts, and then Tanya Comstock.
Good evening, council members. My name is Stephanie Rossi. I am a resident in East Central in Spokane, and I'm here with the Spokane Alliance through the West Central Abbey. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Like many of my friends and colleagues here, I am here to ask you to preserve 2 critical tools in developing affordable housing in Spokane. That would be the GFC waiver and 1590 funds. First, I want to express my thanks to you for increasing from 50 to 100% GFC waiver, and I hope that you will adopt that permanently. And I also want to thank you for supporting and preserving 1590 funds intent. Last year, I testified when we were talking about 1590, indicating that housing affordability does not impact only the most economically vulnerable in our community. So I am one of the 50% of Spokane residents who makes a really decent wage. Even with that, the average house price that was paid in October of $380,000 is well out of the range of what I can afford. 25% of Spokane residents don't earn enough in a year to even qualify for a one-bedroom apartment, which the average rent now is close to $1,200 a month. I have a friend who is paying $1,300 a month for a 350 square foot studio apartment. So when we talk about affordable housing or new housing, all of the initiatives in the other measures that you're adopting tonight are wonderful, but making housing affordable is the thing that 1590 is really going to help us accomplish. I would say that I see a lot of new development in Spokane, and I'm thrilled about that, simply to add numbers to the available units. However, every time I drive past an apartment building, I wonder how much those units are going to be rented for and whether or not they'll be accessible for the average Spokane resident. And so I urge you tonight to continue supporting the 100% GFC waiver, and then to preserve the intent of 1590 funds, which is to invest in new affordable housing in Spokane. And as many of my friends and colleagues tonight have said, please meet with us in January, in the new year, to discuss options for how to preserve the intent of those funds long-term. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Daniel Roberts and Tanya, and then Deb Eslinger.
Hello, my name is Daniel Roberts. I live in the Northwest neighborhood by Shadle Park High School, and I'm a part of the Spokane Alliance through the West Central Abbey. As many of my colleagues are here, I'm here to ask you to support two critical streams of funding for affordable housing, that being the GFC waiver and our local 1590 funds. Affordable housing matters to me because it is a public good that I believe should be publicly funded. As the seventh of 8 children of 2 amazing working class parents, I have been the beneficiary of public goods basically my entire life. I grew up in Spokane playing in public parks. I learned how to read and grew a passion for literature through public libraries. I graduated from Meade High School in 2016, a public school in our community. And even beyond in college, filling out FAFSA, I was able to get a degree as a class of 2020. And as far as public housing goes and affordable housing goes, little Daniel Roberts wouldn't understand all of the logistics of city governance and zoning and all of that, but affordable housing meant for me grandmas and playing bingo with the elders of my community. And being able to be somewhere on the weekend while my parents were working and taking care of many other children in their family. And in my faith community, we talk about the importance of intergenerational bonds to create resilience in our communities. And for me, that was able to happen because my grandmother was housed through affordable housing. And I believe it is important for that to be able to happen for as many young children as possible, as many community members as possible. And that's why we are asking for 3 things to protect affordable housing tonight. 1, a 100% GFC waiver. 2, for 1590 funds not to be used to pay for those GFC waivers, and 3, for a meeting in January to protect 1590 funds in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya, and then Deb.
Hey, council member. I think that the people that are on housing right now, you know, they need the plumbing's there need to be worked on, you know, in the apartment complexes right now, because some of the when you flush their toilets, you know, their toilets overflow all the time, you know, and we don't know why, too. And landlords, you know, some landlords don't change their toilets at all, you know, and landlords need to learn, you know, that we need new toilets in our apartments most of the time, too. You know, and if it doesn't flush right, you know, we need new toilets. You know, we need new things in our apartments. You know, and they need to see if they're flushing all right or not. You know, and they need to see if everything's working in the apartments every once in a while, too.
Thank you. Deb.
Good evening, Council President Kinnear and members of City Council. My name is Deb Elzinga, and I'm the CEO at Community Frameworks. I want to start by thanking you for all you do every day to make Spokane a better place for all of us. This past weekend, I met Daniel and his dog Lost. He camps up on the north side, and I had seen him on many days asking for help. I saw him again on Saturday evening, and I asked him if I could buy him some food. And he said yes, but he's actually more concerned about feeding his dog than himself. I have thought about him all weekend and how frustrating it is that even though my organization's main purpose is to create affordable housing, I couldn't offer him what he needs most, a home. You see, on any given day, we have a waiting list of around 200 people, but we only have 12 available apartment homes. That's why it's so critical that we keep important resources in place, such as the 1590 funding and the waiver for GFC fees. The GFC fee waiver provides huge cost savings for affordable housing development. Because of that fee waiver, for example, Community Frameworks saved over $400,000 in costs for Cinto Commons, allowing us to reinvest that money into other amenities such as solar panels. In this type of development, $400,000 is a very difficult gap to fill. In a larger development, the GFC fee could be upwards of $1 million, and without a 100% fee waiver, a cost like that could effectively stop a project from moving forward. I urge council members to retain this waiver at 100% so that we can continue to spur on much-needed housing for people like Daniel and so many others. My second concern is about the use of 1590 funds. As you have heard from others, those funds are a critical local resource that can be an important match that leverages additional outside dollars. For example, every $1 million in 1590 funds can potentially leverage an additional $10 million in state, federal, and private funding and produce about 60 units of housing. At a time when we have a critical shortage of housing, we need to use our local resources in the most strategic manner possible. Building more affordable housing is our most important strategy for preventing homelessness. As our city, as our community leans into becoming a city of belonging, I can't think of a better way to express the principles that underpin that concept than to double down on our efforts to ensure that all of our fellow community members have a place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, it's 9:18. We're going to need to extend our meeting because we still have a hearing to do, budget hearing, and we have people signed up to speak. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, but,
Move to 10 o'clock.
How many more people are?
well, we're done with
That's
this,
it,
but we
okay.
have 6 more, we have a budget hearing. And I know you'll all want to talk about
Do I get to do any
this.
council commentary on this issue before we move on? Okay.
So I need a motion to extend for how long?
I'll make a motion to extend it 10:30, whatever we need to.
Let's do 10
make it.
o'clock.
10 o'clock, sure. Do you want to make the motion?
No.
Okay.
I'll second
To
that.
10 o'clock,
I'm
is
trying
that?
to help you here.
Okay.
Okay.
So moved to 10 o'clock.
Second that.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Councilman? Thank you. All right. Now, let's, council commentary on GFCs. Go ahead.
I have a lot to say on this, so if anybody else wants to go, because Councilmember Wilkerson is not here to click her pen at me, so
I
I
can
feel
do it.
so empowered to use more time. Yeah. Does anybody else want to say anything? Because I've got a lot to say.
We can call the question, so.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I do
Just-
briefly, and I'll be very
Okay,
brief.
okay.
Yes. I just so appreciate everybody's advocacy on this issue, and when I think about the meetings I've had with community members who came to the table, having done their homework, having solutions and ideas to backfill GFCs, not just coming to say, hey, we need this done, but this is what we need done and how we think you could do it. I just so appreciate this and so appreciate all the work that you do. Thank you.
I'll be very brief. Just a big thank you to all of our staff members and community members who participated in just trying to shape some sort of GFC policy that folks could live with. This has been very contentious and obviously challenging, and it's going to have a lot of ramifications, good and bad, and that's just what we're going to have to deal with and figure out how we can overcome any of the negative that may come with these increased GFC fees. But I just really want to thank all of the hard work that went into this. I mean, this is a year plus of work and time and effort, and we have heard from so many different community members on so many different aspects. So just thank you all so much for that participation.
Yeah. I also just want to thank everyone for their, it's late. But yeah, thank everyone for all their hard work, and definitely look forward to continuing to work with advocates in January.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to reiterate the power of the statement. Yeah.
But wait a minute, we have one more person on screen, Councilmember Stratton. Oh, she's asleep.
Am I going before Councilmember Bingle?
Yes, I thought that'd be best.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to really thank everybody for coming down tonight. The thing that sticks out with me is there've been so much conversation, so many groups meeting, trying to work this out, and everybody has stuck with it, and I'm proud of that. I'm also proud tonight that Deb was able to tell us her story about trying to help somebody, because we always have to keep this in mind, that this is about real people, and we have got to work together and do our very best to protect our fellow citizens. If we can't do that, then I'm not sure what we should be doing, but that should be our ultimate plan, is to take care of others who might need a little help now and then. So thank you to everybody and their comments. I appreciated it, and I just wish that I was there in person so I could give former council president Stuckert a hug, but I can't do that, so.
Oh, isn't that nice? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bingle, remember, we've heard a lot from the audience tonight, so
But we haven't heard a lot from me.
I know, we'll try not to be too repetitious.
I'm not going to be repetitious. I want to respond to a couple of things that were said. So first off, I think it's important to note that we cannot waive GFC fees. We have to offset GF fees. And that is a difference with a distinction, because it's not that we don't want to waive more fees, right? Like, we want to address MFTE which we removed from the public rule. We removed the MFTE projects, as we heard Andrew Rawls from the Downtown Spokane Partnership talking about earlier. We're finding incentives for those because we don't want to disincentivize workforce housing. We just have to find a non-utility revenue source to be able to do it, and so that's coming. But we did want to make sure we had the 100% offset for permanently affordable housing. We were able to get that done. I want to thank the staff for all their effort in this. I mean, we put in hundreds of hours on this piece of legislation. It's been a lot. If my wife never hears the word or letters GFC again, I know that she's going to be very happy. She knows I'm not going to be on another hour-long phone call. But we were able to get to one zone citywide. That's a big deal because what it's not going to do is disincentivize housing on the outsides. We know historically how legislation can purposefully or inadvertently redline certain areas, and we wanted to make sure that it was uniform throughout the city. That way we didn't continue to concentrate different economic incomes in different parts of the city. We were trying to create a mixture of socioeconomic statuses throughout the city because that is a big deal. Being able to be around different levels of income is beneficial for everybody, and so we wanted to see that in there. Something that I didn't hear anything about tonight, but I also think is going to be a big deal, we added a 5/8" meter, which is going to be very helpful for smaller developments, smaller lots, ADUs, Spokanescape, which will also help us in our environmental goals and water usage goals, and it significantly reduces the costs for development. And so all of this was, I think, really well balanced to keep in mind the needs of the infrastructure, but also making sure that development is still happening, that it's not disincentivized in certain areas. And I thought it ended up going really, really well. On the meeting in January, I would love to, like I said, we've spent a ton of time on this. We want to protect $1590 as much as possible. And when it comes to the $1590, in my mind, I know that in our budget we had somewhere in between $1 million and $1.5 million that was proposed from that. For me, $1590 will never be $1 million or $1.5 million for GFCs, but they do have to be paid for from somewhere. They can't be a utility revenue source, so we have to find a funding source. There are a lot of good pots of money to pull from. CHIP grants so far have been fantastic. We're advocating at the legislature for them to continue to do that. CDBG could be a potential, but it's programmed 5 years out. Home dollars can be used, but they can't be used for line items. They have to be an entire project. 1406, I mean, there's a lot of options here, but in my mind, 1590 is the last resort to be used, not something to be used first. But again, I'm happy to have this conversation because whether it's buying the land, the labor, the lumber, or paying for the legislation, so long as it's still helping to get the project done, I see how that's a very good thing. But I also understand where we can use those dollars to leverage it. But we can't just waive things. We have to pay for them from somewhere. And so that's why, for me, 1590 is an option, be it the last resort option. But again, happy to have that conversation in the future. I want to thank the Home Builders Association, SLIC, Spokane Alliance, thank you all for being here. The Realtors Association. I mean, this truly was a community effort where people from the development side to the very low income side sort of really, we found a good policy. And I want to thank Council Member or Council President Kinnear for meeting me in the middle. I think today is when we got there with the interest and the phase-in, an additional 3-year phase-in to get there. And I think in the end, nobody got everything they wanted, but I think most everybody ended up being pretty comfortable with where we ended. And I'm really proud of where we ended up. I think it's going to be good. MCE is my last thing, and then we'll move on. MCEs, I think, are going to be a big deal for downtown because there is a higher cost for developing in the core now as opposed to being on the outskirts. But the MCEs will be helpful for office to residential conversions because if your capacity is already there, you will have a zero charge. And so there's a lot there. We tasked the staff with doing an ERU study on sewers so that we could potentially have a conversation on transitioning from MCEs to ERUs. I guess I have a lot more to say, but it's late.
Yeah.
We did good. We did good, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we ended up in a good
did
place.
good.
So,
Excellent.
thanks for your work. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm surprised that not one person said, what about pressuring the county to implement 1590 as well? Oh, yeah.
We were leaving that for you.
Thank you.
Because you're on your way out. You can do that.
I'm out, so what do I care? Okay, yes.
But I did have one clerical change to make, just one word.
Okay.
And so I want to make a motion to suspend the rules to change the words for 100% of the project may be offset to shall be offset for construction.
I'll
Because
second
that's
that.
the intent, and I think
Yeah,
it was just an
The intent is to waive them.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, all right, so you made the motion, you second,
Sure.
discussion?
This is to waive, or to.
Suspend the rules
suspend
for
the
this
Oh,
rules.
purpose.
So did you?
Yeah.
That's your suspension of the rules,
Yeah.
okay? Voting, all in favor?
Aye.
Council, okay, thank you. Now your motion?
And then the motion is to change the words in 6.2 of the public rule. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. To say,
I mean.
I have it in front of me, yeah. In response to the ongoing local and national housing crisis, 100% of a project's GFC charges shall be offset for the construction of affordable housing projects.
Okay. Any discussion? Did you get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Oh, let's go ahead and vote.
You have to vote on the
Go ahead.
amendment?
Well, I just, at the risk of maybe an unintended consequence without somebody here, I will support, but there could be something we're not thinking about.
Probably. It's late. All right.
Wait, we have to vote on the motion.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so,
And for clarity, you're voting on both items.
yes, we're voting on both items. Everyone understands that, correct?
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
All right, prepare to vote. Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thank you. Yes. All right, now, we have, okay, you can clap, it's good, yeah. All right, we have one more thing, and that is our budget hearing, and we have 6 people signed up, so, Ms. Sister, do you want to go ahead and read this?
Item H3, hearing on proposed 2024 budget, continued from November 13, 2023.
Thank you. So we have Zach McGuckin, Pullian Lamb, and Justice for All signed up. I think you're it. Why don't you come ahead and
My apologies. Yeah, my name's Zachary McGuckin. I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Earlier, when I was talking about the gas masks and all that nonsense that you all want to fund, I talked about the disproportionate police response to our rally yesterday. This new budget is giving an absurd amount of money to the police. And I want to again talk about a disproportionate response. While I was coming here, I counted 3 cop cars parked out on the street, at least 3 undercover cop cars in the parking lot, plus multiple non-undercover cop cars. There's currently 3 cops in the lobby. In the upstairs, there was another 3 cops when we first arrived, and 3 distinct different officers. And then in the hallway, there was also 4 cops. I get we're intimidating bunch, but I don't think we need 25 cops wherever we go. And I know some of us did clap, but I don't think that justifies this police response. This is what we're funding, is these cops to sit around and not do anything to benefit the public, not do anything to benefit public safety. At the meantime, we're only having a small percentage of the money we're giving to police to go into services that actually do help people. Things like mental health services, things like drug treatment, things like housing services. And so you're putting your money where you value, and what you value is the boot that is on the working and oppressed people's neck, not things that can actually lift us up and help us. And I think going back to this idea that we need more police funding because it's going to be a tumultuous election year, what does it tell us, the working and oppressed people of this city, that our government's afraid of us? What does it tell us that you need an armed force of people to prevent us from simply gathering at City Hall and talking to our elected officials? In my view, what this shows is that we have fundamentally opposed interests. The interest of the state is aligned with the interest of the downtown business owners and That's who the police are defending, not the masses. And so we need to fund the services that are actually in the interest of the people. Thank you.
Huyan Lam is joining by video.
Go ahead, you're unmuted.
Hi, City, am I on?
Yep.
Hi, Council President and Council members. I know I already testified last week on the 2024 proposed city budget, but I'm not sure if the Council President and Council members heard or understood what I said last Monday. I sent a follow-up email with detailed information on what we saw from the 2024 proposed budget, but I haven't received a response from any of the council members. So I thought I would give it another try at tonight's City Council meeting, as I need to speak for those who can't make it to the meeting due to childcare and other responsibilities. If you look at the 2024 proposed city budget, you will see a 30% decrease from last year's for the Office of Civil Rights, Equity, and Inclusion. Yes, we know that there are 2 positions expected to be filled soon. We know that, but that doesn't change the fact that the budget has been reduced. For example, the operating budget of $75,000 that our coalition of community organizations advocated for last year is gone. During the City Council meeting in which the Language Access Ordinance was voted on, several community members, myself included, raised the questions whether the ordinance and the federal language access laws could be properly enforced without adequate staffing and resources. We specifically asked for the hiring of a full-time language access coordinators in our comments. It was disappointing that our City Council members didn't seem to remember our concerns and our request for a full-time language access coordinator when I spoke last Monday. Supposedly, the Language Access Ordinance will help us get more immigrants and refugees engaged civically in the city of Spokane. I have my skepticism on this given my own experience speaking at the City Council meetings or asking for meetings with our City Council members. I, along with others, have tried to be as prepared as we could be. We have jumped through all the hoops to speak with our council members here at and other meetings, but we still don't know if we will be heard in the end. And that's why one major function of the Office of Civil Rights, Equity, and Inclusion is to promote community engagement in historically marginalized communities. We need to have the proper staffing and adequate resources to lift as many barriers as possible. And from my personal experience, language is only one of the many. We are asking our City Council members at the minimum to restore the funding of OCREI to what it was allotted back in the 2023 proposed budget. Put back the $75,000 operating budget and add the cost to hire a language access coordinator to work under the office. Thank you.
Thank you. Justice for all.
Hello, I'm Justice for All, Spokane resident. I see why this council wants to increase the police budget as they filled the chambers now with uniformed officers after November 6th. City Council shut down their own meeting after their own words were read back to them. Spokane wants an increase for the budget for police from $72 million to $85 million, a 16.8% increase or $12 million. In comparison, when we think about the money we spend on housing and human services, it's only at $5.8 million. So when we talk about putting our money where our mouths are, or what we value when it comes down to the dollars we spend, we do not value the people who are suffering in this city. We do not, as we have this annual budget, we do not allocate money for those who are freezing to death every winter or those that are facing the harsh conditions of summer, as Spokane definitely hits in the hundreds and the high 90s. 65, so we also, when we're looking at this budget, we shove police and fire into one thing, so it shows that 55% of the total budget of Spokane is taken by Spokane Police and Fire. But of that 55%, 65% is police. So that's very misleading to have those together, but I assume you put those together to show that you are not trying to defund the police, but you're also giving the police $12 million more, so we can also see that. Police capital is also being increased by $1.6 million, an 119.1% increase to police capital. So all those special budget requests, all the money you give to the vehicles, all the things that they should be spending their money on, they should be properly using the largest budget of Spokane, is not being done well. Again, you need to ask for an audit. You have not gotten any data back from the police department. At what point is City Council going to stand up and ask for the bare minimum of accountability when it comes down to police officers? By the way, numbers help everybody. It's called data. It's very great and very good to have. We're also cutting the refographics by 26.9%, or $195,236. So in addition to language access, or the OCREI budget being cut by 30%, also print materials that will be desperately needed to make sure language access is accessible for the citizens of Spokane is also being cut. So as the advice Lori Kinnear gave Jarrell Haynes at the meeting earlier, maybe we should just ask Alex Gibalisco to find that 30% of funds and the 26.29% of funds being cut from print services and things like that. That's a ridiculous thing to say to somebody who had 30% cut to their department. That's wild.
Thank you. Scott Ward. Scott Ward's still here. All right. Ping Ping. Video.
Ping Ping, I see you online. I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Oh, I have talked about to urge the council to hire a full-time coordinator, language access coordinator in my last testimony. So I saw that it covers this 2024 budget. I don't really know that it needs to be a separate testimony. So what I said have been covered. I don't have new things to add.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ping.
Thank you. I just want to add that this budget is the mayor's budget. We have not made changes yet. So those of you that are thinking that we have created this, we have not created this. This is the mayor's budget that we are considering and undoubtedly will undergo some changes. We have Negra Flatman, last person.
Go ahead, Megra. Megra, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you. December 2021, due to public support, council unanimously voted for the Office of Civil Rights, Equity, and Inclusion, but it remained unstaffed for almost 2 years. The OCREI finally received its first director a couple months ago in August 2023. Now, this proposed budget from the mayor cuts its office funding by almost 31%. A guest opinion in the spokesman by Robert Hewitt, Puyon Lam, and Justice for All speaks to this constant struggle better than I can. So I quote, "The recent passing of the long overdue Language Access Ordinance by the Spokane City Council tasks the Office of Civil Rights, Equity, and Inclusion with the implementation and oversight of the Language Access Ordinance. Without adequate funding and staffing, it will become yet another well-intentioned but toothless ordinance, doing nothing to improve our lives. This toothlessness has been a motif with Spokane. The Spokane Human Rights Commission was created, to quote Spokane City official website, to provide guidance regarding human rights issues. But the follow-up that we need is to listen and then to take the action these institutions recommend. We have to follow their guidance, such as when they formally opposed Ordinance C-36394, which has already been used as a justification by an off-duty police officer to beat a man so violently the jail refused entry. If we had listened to the Spokane Human Rights Commission's opposition, that man's human rights would not have been attacked. For 2 years, the Office of Civil Rights, Equity, and Inclusion was not staffed. And now that it finally is, the proposed budget by the mayor is slashing its budget. Seriously? We need this office funded. This is not a solved problem of the past. There has been a rise of hate crimes. There has been bigoted vandalism across Perry District and an increase in Islamophobia due to Resolution 91's recent passing. The Office of Civil Rights, Equity, and Inclusion's budget should be increased due to these recent threats against equity. The budget should be increased due to tonight's threat against civil rights. We need to fund programs that improve lives, and this is one. We need more funding for the OCREI. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Is that our last speaker?
yes,
I will make a motion that we close our budget hearing.
thank you. A second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Stratton?
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to adjourn the meeting. We need everyone to exit to the Chase Gallery right away. Council members, opponents, we doing recap filming in this chambers. We are adjourned.